Chapter 1007. She was a peerless beauty, devastatingly beautiful. This was Concubine Mulan, a breathtakingly beautiful woman. She was too perfect, so perfect that anyone who saw her would feel ashamed of their own inferiority. Lin Feng stood up and clasped his fists. "Thank you for your help, elder sister Mulan." Concubine Mulan smiled. She looked elegant and charming. "I just didn't expect you to grow to such an extent in just a little over a year. It's unbelievable." Concubine Mulan's red lips parted in surprise. She looked extremely attractive. Lin Feng had seen many beautiful women in his life, but he had never seen a woman as beautiful as Concubine Mulan. She had a unique temperament. Lin Feng looked at Concubine Mulan. Of course, Lin Feng's admiration for Concubine Mulan was pure admiration. After all, she already had a daughter. Lin Feng naturally didn't want to provoke someone like her, even if she was extremely beautiful. "What I've gone through makes me sigh. It's been extremely difficult for me to get to where I am now." "It's been so difficult," said Lin Feng. Concubine Mulan said, "Perhaps this is the fate of cultivators. Everyone has to go through ups and downs. It's unrealistic to think that everything is smooth sailing." Lin Feng nodded. He then asked, "Why did you choose to help me back then?" "Because I know that you entered the deepest part of the illusory realm and obtained the illusory stone," said Concubine Mulan. Lin Feng nodded. Lin Feng's expression didn't change. He said calmly, "Elder sister Mulan, did you enter the illusory realm as well?" When Concubine Mulan saw that Lin Feng didn't deny it, she smiled and said, "I didn't enter, but someone else did." He returned empty-handed. "Emolong?" Lin Feng raised his eyebrows. He still remembered that not long after he came out of the illusory realm, he had heard a furious roar coming from the illusory realm. Moreover, he had sensed an oppressive aura coming from the illusory realm. It had belonged to an ancient overlord, and that person was most likely Emolong. Although he couldn't rule out the possibility that there were other ancient powerhouses on Emolong's flying ship. However, Emolong was definitely monitoring the actions of the other ancient overlords. During that period of time, people kept dying on the flying ship. Those who died were all cultivators who obtained illusory stones. Only the captain of the flying ship, Emolong, had the ability to find out who had illusory stones. Emolong only needed to set up a surveillance rune on the flying ship in advance, and he would be able to monitor all the cultivators. Mulan Fei nodded and said, "That's right. It's Emolong." At that time, he had already begun to suspect you, and even confirmed that you had entered the restricted space. Lin Feng was puzzled. "I don't recall revealing that I have an illusory stone. How did Emolong find out?" "There are some treasures in this world that can vaguely sense the existence of the illusory stone," Concubine Mulan said. Lin Feng was slightly taken aback. Then, he nodded. No wonder Concubine Mulan knew that he had the illusory stone. It seemed that Concubine Mulan also had such a treasure. "So Big Sister Mu arranged for Fanjin and the others to clash with me? Then, she used that Elder Lu Qi to chase me off the flying ship?" Lin Feng asked with a smile. Concubine Mulan nodded. "Little brother Lin's eyes are as sharp as torches. You were actually able to roughly deduce the situation. Big Sister really admires you," Lin Feng said, "but I don't know why Big Sister Mu helped me. We don't seem to know each other, right?" In this world, there was no such thing as love or hatred for no reason. Cultivators valued benefits, so Lin Feng definitely wouldn't believe that Concubine Mulan had helped him out of kindness. Concubine Mulan said, "Because I also wanted the 9-colored illusory stone. If you were caught by Emolong on the flying ship, I would have missed the opportunity to obtain the 9-colored illusory stone. So, I simply planned to make you leave the flying ship." Lin Feng said, "Big Sister Mu is an honest person. You don't hide your thoughts." Concubine Mulan smiled. "Thank you for your praise, little brother Lin. I need a 9-colored illusory stone. Of course, little brother Lin, you can rest assured that I will use enough treasures to exchange for it. I won't let you suffer a loss." There were very few 9-colored illusory stones. The 32 9-colored illusory stones that Lin Feng had obtained should be all the illusory stones in the illusory realm. These treasures had many uses. They could help cultivators gain enlightenment, refine magic treasures, and even be used as materials for formations. Of course, they could also prevent cultivators from going berserk. The 9-colored illusory stone was the most valuable treasure. It wouldn't be strange to say that a 9-colored illusory stone was priceless. However, Lin Feng had many 9-colored illusory stones, so he didn't want to exchange them with concubine Mulan. Concubine Mulan had helped him, so he owed her a favor. Lin Feng didn't like to owe people favors. Since concubine Mulan wanted a 9-colored illusory stone, Lin Feng didn't mind giving her one. Lin Feng took out a 9-colored illusory stone and gave it to concubine Mulan. Concubine Mulan was delighted. She quickly put away the 9-colored illusory stone and asked, "Little brother Lin, what do you need? As long as I have it, I'll definitely satisfy you." Lin Feng smiled and said, "Big sister Mulan, you're too polite. Take this illusory stone as a token of my gratitude for your help." Concubine Mulan smiled bitterly. She actually wanted to use other treasures to exchange with Lin Feng so that Lin Feng would owe her a favor. However, since Lin Feng had already said so, concubine Mulan couldn't say anything else. After resting for 2 hours, Lin Feng and the others gathered together. There were 36 people in total. They were all ancient powerhouses from different forces in the 3,000 prefectures. "Little brother Lin, you're proficient in great formations. We'll have to trouble you to lead the way to Four Saint Mountain." Song Zongchen cupped his fists and said. Then, Song Zongchen said, "Little brother Lin will be our guide. When we get the Holy Spirit fruit, you can be the first to pick it." The other ancient powerhouses nodded in agreement. If they wanted someone to lead the way, they had to pay a price. Lin Feng nodded and said, "Everyone, follow me. If there's any danger, don't panic. Listen to my commands. Of course, you can choose not to listen to me, but there are great formations everywhere in Four Saint Mountain. I'll say this first. If you act on your own and get caught up in a great formation, I won't take the risk to save you." Although some ancient powerhouses weren't happy with Lin Feng's attitude, they endured it and sneered inwardly. They were planning how to kill Lin Feng and steal his treasures. Chapter 1008. There was a strange energy lingering around the Four Holy Mountain. The feeling Lin Feng got from this place was almost the same as the feeling he got from the Land of Death on the Tianwu continent. That meant that the dangers within the Four Holy Mountain weren't any lower than the Land of Death on the Tianwu continent. It seemed that the rumors were true. The Four Holy Mountain was a place capable of burying gods. They had to be extremely careful. Lin Feng led the way. He was extremely careful, and with every step Lin Feng took, a formless formation would appear beneath his feet and spread in all directions. This was a secret technique passed down in the Celestial Master Path. It allowed him to sense many restrictions. Of course, not all restrictions could be sensed with this technique. Furthermore, the dangers of a place like the Four Holy Mountain weren't limited to just a few dangerous restrictions. The dangers here were innumerable. Under Lin Feng's lead, the group gradually ventured deeper into the Four Holy Mountain. On the way, Lin Feng led them to avoid countless restrictions. At that moment, one of the cultivators muttered, "The Four Holy Mountain isn't as scary as we thought." Originally, they had thought that it would be extremely dangerous, but after entering, they hadn't even encountered any fierce beasts, let alone restrictions. Of course, the restrictions could be explained by Lin Feng leading the way, but what about the fierce beasts within the Four Holy Mountain? In a place like this, it was reasonable to say that there should be many terrifying beasts. "Hey, golden snake grass." An expert pointed at a big tree not far away. There was a golden spiritual grass growing under the big tree. Looking from afar, it looked like a small golden snake that was about a meter long was swimming around. Golden snake grass was an extremely rare spirit medicine. It was the main ingredient for refining Saint Grade pills. It was obvious how precious it was. The golden snake grass is surrounded by a layer of restrictive spells. I advise you to stay where you are and don't move. There are many treasures in the Four Holy Mountains, but none of them are worth mentioning compared to your life. Lin Feng said indifferently when he saw that many cultivators were itching to move. "We are all ancient overlords. What kind of danger haven't we experienced? It's only a dozen or so meters away. Do you think it's enough to kill us?" A middle-aged cultivator sneered. This person was called Shingon too, and he was at the fourth layer of life and death realm. His cultivation base was also unfathomable. He did not pay attention to Lin Feng's persuasion, and instead quickly rushed towards the golden snake grass. The rest of the cultivators didn't act rashly. They wanted to see if there was really no danger in the Four Sacred Mountain, or if it was because Lin Feng had led everyone to avoid these dangers. Soon, they realized that the Four Saint Mountain was filled with danger. That was because Shingon too had been attacked by the restrictive spells. Terrifying ripples swept through the void, and Shingon too was swept away. He spat out blood in midair. He wanted to run back, but he was entangled by the restrictive spells and couldn't get away. Many of the ancient tycoons were horrified. Wasn't the restriction here too terrifying? Even ancient giants could be easily killed. However, when one thought about how this place was rumored to be able to bury gods, everything that Shingon Tu experienced was nothing. Fellow Taoist Lin, save me. Save me. I know I was wrong. I shouldn't have disobeyed you. Shingon Tu looked at Lin Feng with pleading eyes. Lin Feng frowned slightly. He didn't want to save this person, because this was what he deserved. However, Shingon Tu's attitude of admitting his mistake was not bad. If he saved this person, Shingon Tu would be deeply grateful to him. He might even be able to pull him in as an ally. Having an ancient tycoon as a friend was naturally not a bad thing. Thinking of this, Lin Feng rushed forward. Split. He used the Celestial Master Sect's split word technique, which could split open restrictive spells. After the dense restrictive spells split open, Lin Feng rushed in, grabbed Shingon Tu, and threw him out. Then, Lin Feng rushed to the golden snake grass, collected it, and quickly returned to the group. Thank you, fellow Taoist Lin. In the future, with just a word from you, I, Shingon Tu, won't even frown. Shingon Tu said gratefully. You're too polite, fellow Taoist Shun. Lin Feng nodded and continued to lead the way into the depths. Along the way, many heavenly treasures appeared, and the other cultivators could only look on and sigh. Lin Feng, on the other hand, kept collecting these heavenly treasures, which made many people envious. Lin Feng wasn't afraid of anyone, especially in the Four Saint Mountain. If anyone dared to have any ideas about him, Lin Feng could activate the restrictions in the Land of Death and easily kill them. Therefore, Lin Feng wasn't worried that these people would attack him because they were envious of him obtaining so many heavenly treasures. If someone really dared to make a move, Lin Feng wouldn't mind killing them and snatching their storage rings. Along the way, Lin Feng collected more than 100 types of heavenly treasures. Song Zongchen said with a smile, "Little friend Lin, you can travel freely in the Great Formation and collect all kinds of heavenly treasures. You really make others envious." Lin Feng smiled and said, "Elder Song, you're making fun of me. You're all very strong, so I'm sure you've obtained many treasures in the past year. Unlike me, who was trapped under the Milky Way and couldn't obtain anything." Song Zongchen smiled and didn't say anything else. At night, the Four Saint Mountain became extremely dangerous. A terrifying aura spread out from the surroundings. Lin Feng said in a deep voice, "The fierce beasts living in the Four Saint Mountain should be appearing. Everyone, be careful. The Four Saint Mountain is very similar to the Land of Death. It's very strange. The fierce beasts here have been recognized by the Four Saint Mountain and won't be attacked by the restrictions." Everyone nodded and looked around with serious expressions. Roar. A deep roar was heard, and in the distance, a strange creature covered in silver scales appeared. In another direction, a ferocious beast wrapped in flames appeared. Not far to the left of the flaming beast, an ugly beast with 3 heads rushed out. Ferocious beasts appeared one after another. There were a total of 40 to 50 terrifying creatures. Every single one of them was in no way weaker than an ancient overlord. The powerhouses originally thought that there wouldn't be any fierce beasts in the Four Saint Mountain, but their expressions became very ugly. There were too many fierce beasts, and there were still more coming from the distance. In the end, almost 100 fierce beasts rushed over and surrounded the group. What do we do now? Many of the hegemons paled as well. The ferocious beasts outnumbered the cultivators by 3 to 1. The ferocious beasts were able to move freely within Four Sacred Mountain, while the cultivators were greatly restricted. The disparity in strength was simply too great. Even if they wanted to retreat, they had no chance because the ferocious beasts had sealed off all exits. Chapter 1009. Everyone, form a circle. We'll split into groups of 12 and work together. I'll activate the restrictions here to deal with these beasts, Lin Feng said solemnly. The restrictions of the four sacred mountain wouldn't automatically attack cultivators, but if Lin Feng activated them, the power released by the restrictions would still cause harm to the beasts. No one dared to hesitate. They quickly divided into groups and prepared for battle. Roar! The beasts in the forest were abnormally ferocious and manic. They let out deep roars. After that, more and more ferocious beasts threw themselves at Lin Feng, each of them releasing destructive energies. The aura emitted by these beasts made Lin Feng's heart tremble. As expected of the creatures of the four sacred mountain, they were indeed very powerful. Fortunately, the combined strength of a group of ancient overlords was quite astonishing. Hundreds of ferocious beasts besieged and fought with the crowd. These ferocious beasts had strong bodies, so they chose to attack at close range first. While the group was struggling to resist the attacks of the beasts, Lin Feng had already begun to communicate with the restrictions of the four sacred mountain. Naturally, it was not an easy task to activate the restriction here. However, ever since Lin Feng inherited the secret technique of the Celestial Master Sect, he had learned many amazing methods. He could even control the restrictions of a place like the four sacred mountain that was comparable to a land of death. Formation runes intertwined and connected with the restrictions of the four sacred mountain. Buzz! Violent waves surged out. Lin Feng successfully communicated with the restrictions of the four sacred mountain. He began to control the restrictions of the four sacred mountain. Powerful attacks were unleashed one after another, bombarding the surrounding ferocious beasts. The attacks of these restrictions were too powerful. They had almost killed Shingongtu before, so it was obvious how powerful the restrictions here were. Now that the restriction had been activated, several ferocious beasts were swept away by the restriction and were directly swept away. Even the ferocious beasts of the quadruple holy mountain were penetrated, and several of them were killed on the spot. After seeing this scene, everyone became excited, and their confidence rose. The rest of the beasts bit the corpses of the dead beasts and quickly retreated. Then, a group of beasts began to snatch the corpses of the dead beasts. The carcasses of the dead ferocious beasts were no less attractive to the living ferocious beasts than Lin Feng and the other human cultivators. Soon, the corpses of the ferocious beasts were eaten clean. The ferocious beasts attacked Lin Feng and the others once again. This time, they didn't rush forward rashly. Instead, they used their race's innate ability to attack Lin Feng and the others. Violent shockwaves swept across the heavens and earth. Various kinds of attacks gathered together in the void, forming a long river of attacks that blasted towards Lin Feng and the others. Bring out all your defensive treasures. We'll take the initiative to attack and kill until they're terrified. Lin Feng shouted. Many experts nodded. They were all top-notch experts. Naturally, they all had powerful defensive treasures. All kinds of defensive treasures were summoned to protect everyone. Then, under Lin Feng's lead, they charged towards the group of ferocious beasts. Lin Feng took the lead and activated powerful restrictions to sweep the group of ferocious beasts. One by one, the ferocious beasts were killed. The attacks of the ferocious beasts were temporarily blocked by the defensive treasures. Because the attacks of the restrictions were too powerful, the ferocious beasts became restless and irritable. The originally orderly group of ferocious beasts was now in complete chaos. Lin Feng and the others seized this opportunity to charge into the group of ferocious beasts. Under the attacks of various powerful treasures and the restrictions of the four sacred mountains, the ferocious beasts were killed one after another. Before long, more than 30 ferocious beasts were killed. The rest of the ferocious beasts saw that the situation was bad and fled in all directions. The mountain forest was filled with the thick smell of blood. It was nauseating, but at this moment, many people were still excited. Originally, when they saw that the number of ferocious beasts was 3 times that of the cultivators, many of the ancient powerhouses were worried. However, Under Lin Feng's lead, the group of ferocious beasts was defeated. It had to be said that this was quite a miracle. Song Zongchen exclaimed, "Young friend Lin's formations are truly superb. You can even control the restrictions of the four sacred mountains. You've really broadened my horizons. If it weren't for young friend Lin, we would have been surrounded by such a large group of ferocious beasts. It would have been extremely dangerous. Yeah, if it weren't for young friend Lin, we would have suffered heavy casualties today," the other cultivators said, looking at Lin Feng with gratitude. Of course, Lin Feng didn't know how sincere they were. Lin Feng smiled and said, "You're all too kind. We were able to kill so many ferocious beasts today because we worked together. Without your cooperation, we wouldn't have been able to defeat these ferocious beasts today." After pausing for a moment, Lin Feng continued, "Everyone, we shouldn't stay here for too long. Let's collect these ferocious beasts' corpses and leave quickly. It's already night, so we should find a place to rest for the night. It's too dangerous in the four sacred mountains at night, so let's continue tomorrow. What do you all think?" Of course, no one had any objections. The group divided up the ferocious beasts' corpses and continued deeper into the mountains under Lin Feng's lead. They found a valley to rest for the night and continued their journey the next day. By noon the next day, Lin Feng's group was finally close to the depths of the four sacred mountains. As they passed through a forest, a nearby cliff suddenly collapsed and a huge, pitch-black cave appeared. A terrifying suction force surged out and enveloped the cultivator. His body flew uncontrollably towards the cave. Lin Feng and the others wanted to save him, but they didn't succeed. The cultivator was swallowed by the cave, and soon, a miserable scream was heard. No one dared to stay any longer and quickly ran away. They left the strange cave with lingering fear. They didn't feel sad for the dead cultivator. At most, they just sighed. However, in the world of cultivators, everyone had seen too many deaths. They quickly adjusted their emotions and followed Lin Feng to the foot of the four main peaks of the four sacred mountains. Boom! As soon as they arrived, the two strong cultivators threw themselves at Lin Feng. They had planned to kill him and steal his treasures when they arrived at the foot of Four Saints Mountain. Lin Feng's expression was cold. He quickly retreated to avoid the attacks. He didn't expect Shin Gongtu to circle behind Lin Feng and send a palm strike at Lin Feng. Lin Feng's expression became gloomy. He shouted coldly, "Shin Gongtu, you dare to attack me? Haha, brat, I've been waiting for this opportunity for a long time. I want your treasures. Before, I said that I would go through a mountain of blades and a sea of flames just to numb you. I didn't expect you to be so stupid and not be on guard against me at all." Shun Gongtu sneered. The three strong cultivators surrounded Lin Feng. The other strong cultivators were astonished, too. They hadn't thought the three strong cultivators would attack Lin Feng so suddenly. "Die, brat," said the three overlords coldly. Said the three strong cultivators coldly. Their terrifying attacks were about to crash onto Lin Feng's body. At that moment, Lin Feng smiled coldly. "You really don't know the difference between life and death." He stomped the ground with his right foot and activated the restrictive spells around him. The three overlords were blown away and coughed up blood. Did he hide himself? The overlords who hadn't attacked glanced at each other. Lin Feng had spent some time controlling the restrictive spells, but this time, he had done it in an instant. The overlords who hadn't attacked felt a chill run down their spines. If they had attacked Lin Feng like Shin Gongtu and the two overlords, they would have been lying on the ground already. Lin Feng used the 8 godly seals to seal Shin Gongtu and the two overlords. "Fellow Taoist Lin, please spare our lives. We were possessed. Please show us mercy and spare our lives. We're willing to exchange powerful spells for our lives." The three overlords knelt on the ground and begged. They didn't have the dignity of an overlord when facing death. They looked like stray dogs. "Fellow Taoist Lin, these two people dragged me into this mess. Do you remember that I said I was willing to go through a mountain of blades and a sea of flames for you?" said Shan Gongtu, looking extremely regretful. "You ungrateful bastard. How could I ever trust you again?" said Lin Feng, kicking Shin Gongtu to the ground. He took the three people's spatial rings and picked them up as if they were little chicks. He quickly walked towards the terrifying demon cave. Fellow Daoist Lin, we've been through so much together. Please give us one last chance. If you spare our lives, we'll agree to any conditions you have, said Shen Gongtu and the two overlords. They were terrified. They were terrified. The demon cave was terrifying. The cultivators who had been swallowed by it had died tragically. They naturally knew the fate of being swallowed by the demon cave. Lin Feng looked cold and detached. He didn't pay attention to the three people who were begging for mercy. He threw them into the demon cave. Whoosh! The demon cave emitted a terrifying devouring power that enveloped Shen Gongtu and the two overlords. Their magic power was sealed, and they couldn't resist at all. They were all swallowed up. Ah! Shrill screams came from the demon cave. Then, the demon cave became quiet. The overlords in the distance couldn't help but suck in a breath of cold air. Those were three overlords, and they died just like that. Lin Feng walked back. He didn't say anything else and headed towards the main peak of the Four Saint Mountain. A huge abyss appeared between the four peaks. The Holy Spirit fruit should grow in the abyss, said Song Zongchen. Boom! At that moment, endless demonic chi shot up into the sky from the abyss. Three figures floated in the demonic chi, each of them emitting a terrifying pressure. They were like three ancient gods. Chapter 10:10. Two of them were men, and one was a woman. One of them was an old man, and the other was a middle-aged man. As for the woman, her clothes were as white as snow, and she looked like a celestial being. They were like three ancient gods, and their chi was oppressive. Lin Feng and the others looked grave. Their clothes are very old. I wonder which era they're from. Song Zongchen frowned. The three of them weren't simple, and they made everyone feel pressured. Lin Feng asked, "Are they dead or alive?" Their eyes were closed, and Lin Feng couldn't tell if they were dead or alive, but he was more willing to believe that they were dead. Swoosh! However, the three of them suddenly opened their eyes, and two cold rays of light shot out from their eyes. It was as if they could see through the world. The three pairs of eyes looked as if they had seen the vicissitudes of life. The three of them glanced at the crowd, and in that instant, everyone felt a chill run down their spines. Xue Luohui laughed strangely and said, "They're trying to intimidate us. They're telling us to leave quickly. What do you think?" Duan Hongxiu giggled and said, "They're not easy to deal with. If we really fight, many of us will die. I wonder who will die." The others frowned. Duan Hongxiu's words were strange, and her chi made them feel uncomfortable. But when they thought about it carefully, Duan Hongxiu's words made sense. The three of them were indeed terrifying, and they made everyone feel threatened. At that moment, Di Shangtian said, "I can sense the strength of their bloodlines. They've been dormant for a long time now. If they could still awaken their bloodlines, they would be able to kill us in an instant. But now, they can't awaken their bloodlines, and they can't use many of their skills. Besides, they're in a strange state, and their bodies seem to be sealed." Lin Feng's heart shook. He suddenly thought of Huaya from the Swamp of Death. Could these three experts from an unknown era be the same as the Fire Crow? Could they also be cursed experts? If that was the case, it would explain why they were imprisoned in Four Saints Mountain. Ing Yutian said, "Even if their strength is suppressed, if we rush in recklessly, we'll still be like ants trying to shake a tree." Ing Yutian was a very rational person. He didn't attack just because of a few words from Di Shengtian. He was weighing the pros and cons, unless someone can take out an unsealed artifact. Concubine Mulan said. Lin Feng was in possession of the divine artifact Black Dragon Sword, but the Black Dragon Sword was sealed. It originally had 9 seals, and although 2 of them had been unlocked, there were still 7 seals left. Therefore, a sealed divine artifact would not be able to display its true power. As for the heavenly god battle spear in Di Shengtian's hands, Lin Feng guessed that it was also a sealed divine weapon. If that treasure of his had not been sealed, he could have killed him in an instant back then. "I have a heavenly ruler here. It's an unsealed divine item." Song Zongchen stepped forward and said loudly. As soon as he finished speaking, he flipped his right hand and a treasure flew out. It was a magic treasure that looked like a ruler. It emitted an astonishing wave of energy and power. Although it had not been fully awakened, everyone could still feel the boundless divine aura coming from the ruler. In that case, Let's not delay any longer. Let's do it now, one of the experts said. The rest of the experts nodded in agreement. Boom! Without hesitation, everyone began to attack. Everyone channeled their spiritual energy into the ruler. 1 foot higher. Song Zongchen shouted coldly. With the help of the others, he activated the ruler. The ruler suddenly enlarged, and a destructive wave of energy swept out, exuding a power that could destroy the world. Divine light intertwined, and boundless divine aura spread out. The ruler quickly enlarged into the size of a mountain and smashed towards the 3 ancient experts. The 3 experts soared into the sky and punched at the ruler. Asterisk bang. Asterisk the 2 sides collided, and the void trembled. The Tao heavenly ruler, this divine artifact, was actually shaken, sent flying by the 3 supreme experts. Everyone was shocked. The strength of these 3 experts was too tyrannical. Their bloodlines were sealed, and it seemed like they couldn't even use their divine abilities, but they still blasted the heavenly ruler, a divine tool, away. Just how terrifyingly powerful were the 3 of them at their pinnacle? Song Zongchen said, "Everyone, our cultivation is far from enough to activate a divine artifact like the ruler. Let's not hold back. Everyone, burn 300 years of your lifespan to activate the ruler and awaken the slumbering god." What do you think? Cultivators cherish their lives the most. Burning 300 years of their lifespan would naturally cause many people to hesitate. However, Lin Feng did not hesitate. He was the first to burn 300 years of his lifespan. BB's incubation required the Holy Spirit fruit. Regardless of the price, Lin Feng had to obtain the Holy Spirit fruit. Seeing that Lin Feng had already started burning his lifespan, Song Zongchen, concubine Mulan, and the others also started burning their lifespan. The hesitant cultivators gritted their teeth and started burning their lifespan as well. So many hegemon-level experts were burning their lifespan to activate the heavenly ruler. The ruler emitted an ancient aura. Immeasurable, Tao suppresses all demons. At that moment, a deep voice came from the heavenly ruler and a mysterious existence shrouded in divine light appeared. Because of the divine light, his appearance could not be seen clearly. However, this existence was abnormally powerful. He reached out with his right hand and grabbed at Lin Feng and the others. A loud rumbling sound echoed, covering the sky. The heavenly ruler's god was also extremely powerful. He fought against 3 experts by himself, trying to suppress them together. Bang! The 2 sides collided. The heavenly ruler's god and the 3 experts were locked in a fierce battle. Swoosh! 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 Lin Feng and the others quickly rushed to the entrance of the abyss. There, they saw a 1-meter-tall tree rooted in the void. Its trunk was as strong as a horned dragon, and its bark was like dragon scales. There were more than 10 Holy Spirit fruits growing on it. The Holy Spirit tree seemed to have sensed their auras and quickly rushed down. Confine! Lin Feng waved his right hand, trying to confine the Holy Spirit tree. However, he failed. The tree escaped into the abyss. This is troublesome. Seeing the Holy Spirit tree escape, many people's expressions changed. At this time, the 3 experts started suppressing the heavenly ruler's god. We have no fate with the Holy Spirit fruit. Everyone, quickly leave. If we don't leave now, we won't be able to. Song Zongchen said in a deep voice and took the lead to rush outside. Although the others were extremely unwilling, they had no choice but to leave. Otherwise, they might die here. However, Lin Feng clenched his teeth and rushed into the abyss. Chapter 10:11. BB's incubation depended on the Holy Spirit fruit. If he missed this opportunity, he didn't know when he would be able to find another Holy Spirit fruit. Even though he knew that chasing after the tree would be very risky, Lin Feng didn't want to give up. What a lunatic! Someone's mouth twitched when they saw Lin Feng chase after the tree. If he entered and waited for the 3 experts to return, wouldn't he be in a situation where he would die? The others didn't care about what would happen to Lin Feng in the future. They all rushed outside. The tree was extremely fast. Of course, Lin Feng wasn't slow either. He chased after the tree madly. He gradually closed the distance between him and the tree. Lin Feng's right hand condensed a dense array of runes in an attempt to imprison the tree, but the tree suddenly sped up. All the deployment marks fell on empty space. The distance between Lin Feng and the Holy Spirit tree gradually increased. Then, the tree stopped 1,000 meters away, waving its branches and twisting its body as if provoking Lin Feng. Damn, that tree has become a spirit. Lin Feng stared at the tree, dumbfounded. He hadn't expected this at all. Even the immortal herb didn't seem to have such high intelligence. Don't run. Lin Feng summoned his golden wings and pushed his speed to the limit, chasing after the tree once more. The tree turned and ran, provoking Lin Feng as it ran. Not only did the tree have high intelligence, it was also very cunning. The Holy Spirit tree took Lin Feng to the bottom of the abyss. There were many powerful deployment spells. The Holy Spirit tree took Lin Feng to the most dangerous deployment spells. If it weren't for Lin Feng's deep understanding of seals, he would have died long ago. This won't do. I can't catch up to this guy. Lin Feng's eyes darkened. Yeah. Bibi cried out loudly. Feeling the aura of the Holy Spirit fruit, it was very excited. The little thing rushed out from the storage ring. Then, a rainbow immortal light shot out of the eggshell and quickly swept toward the God Spirit tree. The sacred spirit tree seemed to know that this rainbow immortal light was extremely powerful, so it didn't dare to hesitate and hurriedly dodged the rainbow immortal light. Lin Feng was quick to take action as well. He joined forces with Bibi to deal with the God Spirit tree, hoping to capture it. However, the God Spirit tree was very cunning. It dodged left and right, causing Lin Feng and Bibi to fail again and again. Meanwhile, the God Spirit tree swayed its body, continuously provoking Lin Feng and Bibi. Don't be so cocky. There will be a time when you cry. Lin Feng gritted his teeth. The dragon rabbit was also summoned by Lin Feng. After the dragon rabbit joined the battle, Bibi seized an opportunity and swept the God Spirit tree with her rainbow immortal light. Pooh! A Holy Spirit fruit was swept down. The God Spirit tree shot out a beam of holy light, trying to take the Holy Spirit fruit away. However, a dazzling saber light slashed at it. The God Spirit tree was shocked and quickly retreated, burrowing into the ground and disappearing without a trace. Lin Feng quickly rushed over and grabbed the Holy Spirit fruit. Eat. Bibi wants to eat. The little guy was very excited. Swoosh. A rainbow immortal light surged out and enveloped the Holy Spirit fruit. Then, Bibi entered the storage ring and began to refine the Holy Spirit fruit. Lin Feng also sent the dragon rabbit back into the bee slave pouch. At the same time, a terrifying aura came from afar. Lin Feng looked over, and a horrified expression appeared on his face. 3 ancient beings were walking over. This was troublesome. Lin Feng didn't hesitate and quickly rushed into the depths. The 3 ancient beings locked onto Lin Feng's aura, causing Lin Feng's heart to palpitate. He was trying to think of a way to escape. One had to know that the 3 ancient beings were too terrifying. Fighting with them would only lead to death. If he wanted to escape, he would have to find another way. Lin Feng continued to fly into the depths, and the 3 ancient beings behind him were getting closer and closer. This gave Lin Feng an extremely bad feeling. It didn't take long for the 3 terrifying existences to catch up to only 1,000 meters away. The old man waved his right hand, and a terrifying force swept over. Lin Feng was sent flying, and he spat out a mouthful of blood in midair. Don't be rash. Impulsiveness is the devil. Let's talk this out, Lin Feng said with a long face. Bang. However, the old man had no intention of communicating with Lin Feng. He threw another punch at Lin Feng, and he was sent flying again. Lin Feng kept coughing out blood. The 3 ancient beings were too terrifying. If it was someone else, they would have died from the 2 attacks. But even with Lin Feng's strong body, he couldn't hold on any longer. He rushed towards the depths. At this time, the woman in snow-white clothes took action, sending a palm over. A giant energy palm condensed in the void. The energy palm slammed onto Lin Feng's chest, and Lin Feng was sent flying. Lin Feng was sent flying for thousands of meters. His body crashed into a black mountain, and he fell to the ground. Behind him was a valley, and it emitted a gloomy aura. The three ancient beings approached Lin Feng step by step. Lin Feng's face was as pale as paper. At this moment, he was in despair, but more than that, he smiled bitterly. He knew that he might die if he entered the valley. However, when faced with death, there was too much reluctance, too much unwillingness, and too many things that he couldn't let go of. Huh. Lin Feng was shocked. He saw a stone tablet not far away. The stone tablet was ancient and majestic. There were 4 words written on it. Suppressed here forever. What does this mean? Could it be that some terrifying existence is being suppressed here? Lin Feng could not help but guess. Lin Feng hurriedly got up and rushed into the valley. The 3 existences immediately stopped and stood outside the valley, looking into the valley. They didn't enter rashly. As expected, this valley is not simple. Lin Feng sighed and sat down on the ground. The 3 ancient beings didn't stay for long. They retreated and floated at the entrance of the abyss. I'm trapped here. Lin Feng couldn't help but sigh. The current situation made him feel helpless. However, Lin Feng had always been an optimistic person. He collected his emotions, sat down cross-legged, and began to heal. It didn't take long for Lin Feng's injuries to fully recover. Bibi was currently refining the energy of the Holy Spirit fruit. It would take some time for her to hatch. Lin Feng walked deeper into the valley. The valley was very quiet. It had existed for countless years. If there was something suppressed here, it would probably be dead by now. Time was enough to erase everything. In the depths of the valley, Lin Feng discovered a grave. That was a lone grave, one that exuded a desolate aura. It was all alone here. Chapter 10:12. Whose grave is this? Buried here. Who buried him here? Lin Feng muttered. There wasn't even a stone tablet on the grave, so there was no way to investigate its origins. To scare away 3 great experts, this grave is extraordinary, Lin Feng muttered. He walked alone in front of the grave and found a broken sword in front of it. The broken sword had long lost its luster and was even a little rusty. He didn't know what material it was made of. Who left this broken sword behind? Could it be the owner of this grave? Lin Feng was extremely puzzled. Everything here was like a mystery. Buried in the depths of the Forest Saint Mountain, there was a stone tablet outside that said, "Here forever." This was what confused Lin Feng the most. What did it mean to be here forever? What did it want to express? Lin Feng walked in front of the broken sword and reached out to pull it out. At this moment, a shocking wave of energy surged out from the broken sword. Following that, a dazzling light shot out. Lin Feng found it difficult to open his eyes. In my life, a sword and a bottle of wine are enough. Lin Feng vaguely heard a voice. It seemed to come from countless years ago, but also seemed to ring in his ears. Lin Feng narrowed his eyes and looked over. He could vaguely see a blurry figure. It was a man. He seemed to be standing in an immortal world. He was alone. He carried a sword on his back. He carried a wine gourd. He held his sword and sang loudly. If there is a day when the sword breaks, it will be the day of my death. He stroked his sword. This sword had a special meaning to him. After an unknown period of time, a broken sword stabbed into the ground in front of the grave. The broken sword was stained with blood, but as time passed, the blood gradually dried up. When all the light dissipated, the broken sword was still stabbed into the ground in front of the grave. He's dead, Lin Feng muttered. The sword broke, and the person died. Just as he had said in the past, his sword was broken. Who is this senior? Lin Feng muttered. He felt that this person was very heroic. He liked this kind of personality. But how did this senior die? Lin Feng grasped the hilt of the broken sword. He wanted to pull out the broken sword, but Lin Feng actually failed. The broken sword seemed to have become one with the earth. No matter how hard he tried, he couldn't pull it out. Lin Feng dripped his blood onto the broken sword. At this moment, the broken sword actually let out a sword cry. The broken sword has a spirit. Lin Feng was shocked. This broken sword was truly too extraordinary. Now that it had already rusted, it actually still had such a powerful spirituality, which made Lin Feng feel that it was inconceivable. Lin Feng moved again, wanting to pull out the broken sword. But this time, just like before, he failed. Have you ever thought about seeing the light of day again? Have you ever thought of living for your master? You are the continuation of his life, Lin Feng muttered. In that instant, billions of strands of sword chi shot out from the broken sword. The sword chi swept across heaven and earth. Lin Feng was extremely shocked. He couldn't believe that the broken sword could be so terrifying. The quality of this broken sword was probably higher than the Black Dragon sword. "Come out!" shouted Lin Feng furiously. He grabbed the broken sword and pulled it out of the ground. Lin Feng held the broken sword in his hand. He felt that this broken sword seemed to have the power of a primordial beast hibernating in it. It had been silent for too many years. Now that it was pulled out by Lin Feng, the broken sword constantly shook heaven and earth. Rumble. But at this moment, a strange change happened to the lonely grave. The lone grave began to tremble. Crack, crack, crack. Moreover, the lonely grave began to crack. Waves of black fog spread out from the lonely grave. Seal. Open. Open. I am about to break. Out. Out. Suddenly, a deep roar could be heard coming from the grave. An evil aura surged out from the lonely grave. Lin Feng's face showed an extremely shocked expression. He pulled out the broken sword himself? He broke the seal? What was sealed inside? "What the hell are you?" Lin Feng asked. "I am the heavenly demon General Wanyan Lai." The existence in the lonely grave roared loudly. Lin Feng's face instantly turned as pale as paper. The heavenly demons were the most evil race. Time and time again, the celestial devil clan was the cause of the tragic war. It wasn't just the Sky Martial continent that was invaded by the heavenly demons. Many planets with life in the outer regions were invaded by the heavenly demons. During the chaos of the Middle Ages, the heavenly demons invaded the Sky Martial continent. At that time, countless forces in the Sky Martial continent were destroyed and countless cultivators died. It was a barren land. At that time, many cultivators in many states were massacred. During the day, blood rained down and lonely souls cried. Flying for a few years, one might not even meet a living person. These were the heavenly demons. Wherever they invaded, not even a blade of grass grew. It became a land of death. The heavenly demon general led the heavenly demon army and invaded many planets with life. The heinous crimes he committed were too numerous to be recorded. The one sealed here was actually a heavenly demon general. If he was allowed to escape and return to the outer regions to gather the heavenly demons, who knew what kind of terrifying things he would cause? At that time, many people would be plunged into misery and suffering. Lin Feng hurriedly put the broken sword back into the grave. However, it was already useless. Even if the broken sword was put back in its original place, it would still be useless. The seal had already been broken. "Haha, kid, don't waste your time. I'm going to escape. Once I'm out, I'll cut off your flesh and eat it piece by piece to repay you for breaking the seal and letting me out." The heavenly demon general shouted sinisterly. Lin Feng couldn't help but roll his eyes. "I let you out, and you still want to eat me? Being able to be eaten by me is a blessing you accumulated in your past life." The heavenly demon general said sinisterly. "Fortune for your entire family." Lin Feng couldn't help but roll his eyes. Crack, crack. The lonely grave was still cracking open. A pale white hand had already reached out. Lin Feng didn't dare to hesitate and quickly used the 8 divine seals to strengthen the seal. A dense array of runes interweaved and enveloped the entire lone grave. The 8 divine seals array began to reseal the lonely grave. The heavenly demon general cried out in fear, "Celestial Master Sect? You are the successor of the Celestial Master Sect. Isn't this lineage already broken? Are you using the 8 divine seals? Break, break, break." Terrifying devil chi surged out. Bang! The devil chi collided with Lin Feng's body. Wow! Lin Feng was sent flying and spat out large mouthfuls of blood. The originally terrified heavenly demon general became excited. He proudly shouted, "So it was just a bluff. Your cultivation is so weak. Even if you are the successor of the Celestial Master Sect, you can't suppress me." As soon as he finished speaking, The 8 divine seals' array patterns began to collapse. Is that so? Lin Feng crawled up from the ground, his expression gloomy. Suddenly, Lin Feng's gaze looked at the stone tablet at the entrance of the valley. Here it will be forever suppressed. Could it suppress the heavenly demon general? He ran over, and with a loud roar, he lifted up the stone tablet. Although the stone tablet was only 3 meters tall, it was made of an unknown material. It was as heavy as an ancient mountain. Lin Feng carried the stone tablet and stepped forward. Rumble. Every step he took was extremely difficult. Every step he took caused the earth to shake. The cracks in the grave grew bigger and bigger, and the cracks in the grave grew bigger and bigger. The celestial demon general's pale white hands reached out from the grave. I'm going to break free. The celestial demon general roared excitedly. He kept attacking the grave with his palms, wanting to completely destroy it. Lin Feng's celestial demon general saw the cracks in the grave. He couldn't suppress the celestial demon general with his strength. His heart sank to the bottom of the valley. Just as the celestial demon general was about to destroy the grave, the words, "Here forever," on the stone tablet emitted a dazzling light. All the light gathered together and finally condensed into an illusory figure. It was a man in his 30s. He wore a green robe, and his hair was loose. Sword, come. The man stretched out his right hand. The broken sword stuck in the ground let out a sword cry. It soared into the sky and landed in the cultivator's hand. Sword God, you still have such a trick up your sleeve. Back then, in order to suppress me, your body was destroyed, your soul was shattered, and the treasured sword that accompanied you for your entire life was broken. Countless years have passed. Do you still want to suppress me? If you insist on doing so, this last remnant of your will disappear from the world. Why don't we both take a step back? What do you think? Shouted the celestial demon general. My sword is broken and I'm dead. My life is over. Sword God held his sword with one hand and slashed at the celestial demon general's hands. Sword God, a mere remnant of your will wants to suppress me again? What a joke. The celestial demon general sneered and reached out with his hand. Celestial demon claw. A pitch-black claw condensed in the air and grabbed at Sword God. This sword of mine can sever time, but it can't sever the 7 emotions and 6 desires. This sword of mine is called heartache. Sword God slashed with his right hand. The sword fell. The celestial demon claw was instantly torn apart. Then, the sword slashed at the celestial demon general's hands. The celestial demon general screamed and quickly retracted his hands. Close. Sword God stretched out his hand, and the grave closed again. The celestial demon general roared furiously, Sword God, is your life worth it? You could have lived a carefree life, but you went against me and risked your life. Your life has been very sad. When you were young, you watched the woman you loved being killed. When you were strong enough, you died at my hands. You don't have a physical body now. Even if you can suppress me again, I can quickly destroy the seal here. Sword God said, if I don't kill you, how many more people will die because of you? The way of man is to do good, sacrificing myself to save countless people. Even if I have to choose again 1,000,000 times, I will die without regrets. Sword God slashed 9 times. 9 dazzling rays of sword light turned into 9 dragons. The 9 dragons bared their fangs and brandished their claws as they roared and transformed into true dragon tattoos that suppressed the grave. Sword God, you're really strong. You even succeeded in cultivating the legendary true dragon tattoos. But it's useless. The true dragon tattoos can't suppress me. The celestial demon general sneered. Not necessarily. Sword God said indifferently. Said the Sword God indifferently. He turned around and looked at Lin Feng. Can I borrow your godly blood? Asked Sword God. Lin Feng cut his wrist and blood flowed out. Sword God made a grabbing motion in the air and grabbed the 10 drops of blood. It's useless. The immortal god blood is strong, but that boy's cultivation is too weak. His immortal god blood can't suppress the true dragon tattoos. The celestial demon general sneered. Sword God looked indifferent. Who said I'm going to use the immortal god blood to suppress the true dragon tattoos? I'm going to use his sovereign emperor blood. What? Sovereign emperor blood? No, that's impossible. Wasn't that ancient race exterminated? When the celestial demon general heard the words, sovereign emperor blood, he shouted in terror. Chapter 10:14. Swoosh. The 9 drops of blood fused with the 9 true dragon tattoos, and the 10th drop fused with the stone tablet. The 9 true dragon tattoos connected with the stone tablet and suppressed the tomb. Why is this happening? I can't accept this. The heavenly demon general screamed in terror. He began to crazily try to break open the tomb, but it was too late. The 9 true dragon tattoos had completely sealed the tomb. The Tiamat general was suppressed, and he couldn't make a sound. Everything returned to normal. The sword god's body was slowly disappearing. Senior. Lin Feng was moved. He felt sad. This sword god senior was very noble. He sacrificed himself for the common people and put his life on the line to suppress the heavenly demon general. Now, this last remnant of his will was about to dissipate. Don't be sad. I died a worthy death. You should be happy for me. The sword god was very carefree and revealed a smile. This is the sword that has accompanied me for my entire life. It's called Death Sword. Today, I'm giving it to you. I hope you can treat it well. If you can find the other half of the sword, you can repair it. The sword god gave the death sword to Lin Feng. Death sword falls like rain. The world yearns for two to accompany each other. My heart is like the moon. My love is like the stars. I only sigh that the beauty has turned to dust. There was a short poem on the death sword. It was written by the sword god. There was a name at the back, Li Xiaoyao. That should be the sword god's name. And this poem should have been written by the sword god for his dead lover, right? It seemed that the sword god had never let go of the love of his life. Thank you, senior. I will definitely treat this sword well. I won't let you down. Lin Feng said solemnly. That's good. The sword god nodded. Then, the sword god said, I know you still have some doubts. You can ask me. If I know, I will tell you. Lin Feng thought of the sovereign emperor's blood. He only knew that he had the immortal god's blood in his veins. What was the sovereign emperor's blood? Lin Feng thought of his mother. Could it be the sovereign emperor's blood that his mother had passed down? Lin Feng asked, what kind of bloodline is the sovereign emperor's bloodline that senior spoke of? It seems even more powerful than the immortal divine blood. The sword god nodded and said, that's one of the most mysterious bloodlines in the world. If I'm not mistaken, that bloodline didn't come from your father, but from your mother's clan. Pausing for a moment, sword god asked, have you heard of the undying world? Lin Feng replied, I've heard that if you cultivate to the deity realm, you can ascend to the undying realm. The undying world is the most mysterious world. It can support cultivators to reach a higher level. This world has the most resources, the strongest inheritances, and the highest level of energy. Therefore, countless people want to enter this world. Maybe only the undying world can help cultivators become stronger, but in the beginning, no one can enter the undying world. Why is that? Lin Feng asked. The undying world. It has its own rules. The cultivators there are too strong, and the cultivators in the outside world are like ants. In their eyes, cultivators in the outside world don't have the right to enter the undying world. Moreover, if you enter the undying world, you'll have to fight for resources with the cultivators there. This is something that the great powers of the undying world don't want to see. Therefore, the gate to the undying world is closed, and no cultivator can enter. The sword god murmured, the cultivators in the undying world are getting stronger and stronger, while the cultivators in the outside world can only reach the deity realm at most. Anyone from the undying world can cause chaos because they're too strong. The cultivators in the universe can't change this situation until a certain race appeared. The Sovereign Emperor race. Lin Feng said, that's right. It's that race. At the beginning of the immemorial era, when the world was filled with vitality, a young man appeared. He was only 16 years old, but he was invincible, the sword god murmured. Sword god muttered, as if he still couldn't believe that this was real. Lin Feng couldn't help but gasp. That was too heaven-defying. The young man often sighed because he couldn't find a stronger opponent. So he went to look for the undying world, the sword god said. The undying world has always been rumored in the immemorial era, but no one has ever been able to enter it. That's why everyone doubted its existence. That young man used 10 years to grow from a young man to a young man. He found the undying world and smashed through it. The world crystal wall. How could it be smashed through? Lin Feng couldn't believe it. But he did, because his bloodline is too extraordinary. It's the blood of a sovereign. That kind of bloodline can increase his cultivation level infinitely. People say that it's very difficult to become a great emperor outside the undying world, but the sovereign's blood has changed that. He smashed through the undying world, which infuriated the great emperors of the undying world. Many great emperors tried to kill him, but he single-handedly defeated them. Lin Feng took a deep breath and tried to calm himself down. What he had heard today was too shocking. The sovereign's blood. How could it be so powerful? What happened to that race in the end? Asked Lin Feng. That race is too heaven-defying. It's so heaven-defying that the Tao of heaven doesn't allow them to exist. Over the course of a long time, that race only had a few successors. Later on, no more successors appeared. Some people say that the race has already gone extinct, the sword god murmured. Sword god Tao murmured, but how could such a powerful race really disappear? I never thought that I would be able to see a descendant of a sovereign emperor's race before I disappeared. Lin Feng asked, Master, how can I recover my sovereign's blood? Not enough. Your cultivation level is still far from enough. When you become a god, you might be able to awaken your sovereign's blood. The sword god smiled. His body started dispersing. Master, have a safe journey. When Lin Feng saw that the sword god's body was becoming more and more illusory, he looked sad. This world is full of dangers, but it's also full of hope. Remember what I said. Never give up hope. When the darkest moment comes, don't give up, because after the darkness comes the dawn. The sword god looked at Lin Feng and spoke gently. Lin Feng didn't know why the sword god had said such strange things to him, but he nodded. He remembered every word the sword god had said. The sword god's illusory body turned into specks of starlight and drifted away. The sword god had died. He had died. Chapter 10:15. Senior sword god, I haven't left yet. How can I leave now? Lin Feng said helplessly. Sword god had passed away. He didn't send him off. He had been too preoccupied with his grief earlier that he had forgotten to ask sword god to send him out. Lin Feng couldn't help but feel depressed at the thought of this. Buzz. At that moment, the undying sword in Lin Feng's hand soared into the sky and quickly flew into the distance. Lin Feng grabbed the undying sword and flew into the distance. Big brother, don't trick me, okay? Lin Feng's face turned pale. The undying sword was flying in the direction of the exit, where 3 terrifying existences were guarding it. If he flew over like this, would he be slapped to death by them? Lin Feng wanted to cry but had no tears. Lin Feng quickly took out the 7 treasures glazed pagoda to protect himself. If something went wrong, he would quickly return. What surprised Lin Feng was that when he arrived at the exit, the 3 experts only looked at Lin Feng. They didn't attack him. Is it because of the undying sword? Lin Feng's heart skipped a beat. Lin Feng realized that the 3 strong cultivators were there to protect the grave. Could it be the sword gods doing back in the days? Lin Feng didn't know why they were guarding the grave. He only cared about whether he could leave smoothly. Lin Feng soon let out a long breath. When he was about to fly out of the abyss, the 3 experts didn't attack him. Lin Feng finally rushed out of the abyss and arrived at Quadruple Holy Mountain. It was a night with a bright moon and few stars. Wild beasts roamed Quadruple Holy Mountain. Danger lurked everywhere. Lin Feng quickly flew outside. Lin Feng left Quadruple Holy Mountain in the middle of the night. He didn't linger around the mountain. Instead, he quickly left. Lin Feng found a place and set up a few concealment formations. Then, he lay down on the ground. King Mingyue and Star Constellation. Finally, he could have a good rest. Lin Feng sensed the state of Bibi. Currently, Bibi was still refining the energy of the Holy Spirit fruit. Lin Feng guessed that it would take another month or two for Bibi to hatch. Of course, it could also be faster. I've stayed in the starry sky world for more than a year. It's time to go back. Lin Feng narrowed his eyes. During this starry sky trial, Lin Feng had obtained countless benefits. Not only had his cultivation improved greatly, but he had also obtained many treasures. Now, it was time to return to the Sky Martial continent and properly cultivate for a period of time. As for the other opportunities and treasures, he would leave them to others. Lin Feng arrived at the space-time entrance of this planet. This place was connected to the Starry Space Tunnel. From here, one could enter the Starry Space Tunnel and return along the original path. Time passed. Lin Feng had been flying in the space tunnel for more than a month. Through the tunnel, he could vaguely see the starry sky outside. Countless stars were flying, and from time to time, he could see meteors falling. It was a magnificent sight. After another month, Lin Feng saw a blue planet. That planet was the Sky Martial continent. We're finally about to return to the Sky Martial continent. Lin Feng let out a long breath. Lin Feng was not the only cultivator in the Starry Sky Tunnel. On the way, he had met thousands of cultivators who had returned to the Sky Martial continent ahead of time. Many of them had obtained great opportunities. Therefore, it was normal for them to not want to continue taking risks. Just as the group was about to return to the Sky Martial continent, suddenly, the starry sky world trembled violently. What's that? A cultivator pointed into the distance. Everyone looked over. They saw a huge beast flying over. That ferocious beast's body was simply too huge. Lin Feng had seen huge beasts in the sea that were over 100,000 meters long. But compared to this beast, it was like comparing an ant to a dragon. Lin Feng had never seen such a huge beast. It was even bigger than a planet. Giant Star Beast. This must be the legendary Giant Star Beast. Legend has it that there is a type of beast in the starry sky that is as big as a planet in the starry sky. This type of beast is called the Giant Star Beast. The Giant Star Beast can swallow a planet with life in one gulp. Now that we've met the Giant Star Beast, we're finished. A cultivator cried out in fear. His face was pale, and his body was trembling. Rumble. Suddenly, the Giant Star Beast stretched out its huge claws to grab them. The starry sky tunnel. It was trembling violently. It was as if it was about to collapse. The Giant Star Beast wanted to destroy the Starry Sky Tunnel and swallow Lin Feng and the others. If the Starry Sky Tunnel was destroyed, Lin Feng and the others would die, and the cultivators on those planets would be trapped in the Starry Sky world, unable to return to the Sky Martial continent. It could be said that if the Starry Sky Tunnel was destroyed, it would be a disaster. Everyone in the Starry Sky Tunnel was as pale as a sheet of paper. Everyone could feel a thick aura of death enveloping their bodies. Impudent. Just as the Giant Star Beast's claw was about to destroy the Starry Sky Tunnel, a cold shout suddenly rang out. Following that, a huge palm stretched out from the direction of the Sky Martial continent. That palm seemed to cover the sky as it slammed towards the Giant Star Beast. Heavens! The Sky Martial continent still has such an expert? Lin Feng sucked in a cold breath. He had always thought that the Sky Martial continent had long since declined, and that was why there weren't any particularly strong cultivators. But now, it seemed that he was gravely mistaken. The Sky Martial continent had a hidden expert. Bang! The two sides collided fiercely, and the planet-sized star behemoth was shaken back. The Giant Star Beast's eyes flashed with a sinister light as it turned and left. The huge palm also began to dissipate. Lin Feng and the others sighed in relief. They were about to enter the transportation array and be transported to various places in the Sky Martial continent. At this time, the Giant Star Beast transformed into a middle-aged man with a gloomy expression. The Sky Martial continent still has a protector? I've never been one to suffer losses. The Giant Star Beast raised his palm and slammed it towards the Starry Sky Tunnel. Bang! His palm slammed into the Starry Sky Tunnel, and it began to collapse. Lin Feng and the others were instantly swallowed by the space-time storm. The Giant Star Beast slammed his palm again, wanting to completely destroy the Starry Sky Tunnel. You're courting death. At this moment, A furious roar shook the heavens. An old farmer tore through the starry sky and arrived in outer space. Go! The giant star beast instantly fled into the depths of the starry sky world, disappearing in the blink of an eye. The farmer's expression was gloomy. He wanted to give chase, but the most important thing right now was to stabilize the starry sky tunnel. Streams of divine energy poured into the starry sky tunnel to repair it. In the end, the starry sky tunnel was stabilized. The farmer's expression was gloomy. The thousands of people who had just been swallowed by the space-time storm had most likely died. Chapter 10:16. The southern region was located in the southernmost part of the Tianwu continent, adjacent to the Southern Sea. It was the largest region in the Tianwu continent, and it had the most vast primitive forests. The ancient primitive forests covered most of the southern region, and there were many mountains in the southern region. In a place called the Taicang Mountain Range, there were many mountains and precipitous ridges. A young man was lying in the forest. His whole body was dripping with blood, and there were many places where bones could be seen. It was obvious that he had suffered serious injuries. This young man was Lin Feng. The palm of the middle-aged man formed by the giant star beast had caused a space-time storm. Thousands of people had been swallowed by the space-time storm, and many had died tragically in the space-time storm. Lin Feng had survived by relying on his strong physical body, but he had also suffered serious injuries. If it had been an ordinary injury, Lin Feng's immortal divine body would have automatically healed him. But it was obvious that Lin Feng's injuries were not ordinary. He had been lying on the ground for 3 days and 3 nights, but the injuries on his body had not healed. There were cracks in his origin. The origin of the Great Tao was the foundation of a cultivator, and it was located in the Dantian. Once the origin of the Great Tao was injured, it was usually extremely serious. This was a terrifying injury that was second only to a Tao injury. The great rock king of the demon race, who had shocked the ages, had suffered a Tao injury and was tortured to the point of being better off dead. Fortunately, Lin Feng was not suffering from a Tao injury. If he had suffered a Tao injury, his soul would have already returned to the Yellow Springs. Roar! A deep roar came from the forest. Pairs of pale green eyes looked at Lin Feng, who was lying in the forest. Then, giant wolves that were 5 meters long and 3 meters tall jumped out of the forest. The giant wolves of the forest could kill experts of the Martial King realm. The Wolf King could even kill cultivators of the Yin-Yang realm. The giant wolves of the forest were one of the most terrifying groups in the southern region's primitive forests. Now, dozens of giant wolves of the forest jumped out of the forest. They looked at Lin Feng, who was lying on the ground, with fierce eyes. Roar! A deep roar came out. One of the giant wolves of the forest roared and rushed toward Lin Feng. It opened its bloody mouth and bit Lin Feng's head. The rest of the giant wolves of the forest also rushed toward Lin Feng. These beasts felt the powerful bloodline in Lin Feng's body. Ferocious beasts could generally devour powerful bloodlines to evolve. The giant wolves of the forest were no exception. Therefore, the gigantic wolves of the forest rushed towards Lin Feng as if they had gone mad. When Lin Feng saw that his life was in danger, suddenly, Lin Feng's absorbing spirit started to revolve. Devouring martial spirit was enveloping devouring the devouring martial spirit. These giant forest wolves let out terrified cries and began to struggle one by one. Bang, 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 bang. The gigantic wolves of the forest exploded one after another. Lin Feng absorbed their original strength. This was the martial spirit protecting its master. Some powerful martial souls could take the initiative to protect their masters when their lives were in danger. For 10 days, Lin Feng lay on the ground, motionless. Beasts kept appearing and trying to devour Lin Feng, but they were all killed by Lin Feng's devouring martial spirit. Then, they were devoured by the devouring martial spirit. However, Lin Feng still did not wake up. His wounds healed very slowly. An injury to the origin was the most harmful to the bloodline. That was why it was difficult for the immortal divine blood to circulate. Fortunately, Lin Feng's injured body was slowly recovering after devouring the origin of so many beasts. However, Lin Feng's origin was seriously injured. After he fainted, he fell into a deep sleep to recover his origin. This was not a process that could be accomplished overnight. No one knew how long Lin Feng would lie here. The news that a powerful cultivator had fainted in the forest spread like wildfire among the beasts. Many ferocious beasts also started appearing. They wanted to kill Lin Feng. Lin Feng was almost killed by the beasts several times. Fortunately, his devouring martial spirit was powerful enough to scare the beasts away. If we invite a beast emperor to kill this little boy, we'll definitely succeed. Maybe the beast emperor will be happy and give us some origin. This little boy's origin is too powerful. We'll definitely evolve. A few beast kings were talking. They rushed into the depths of the forest. They went to invite a terrifying beast emperor that resided in the depths. That afternoon, footsteps were approaching. It was a pair of siblings who had come out of a nearby village to collect wild fruits. The sister was 16 or 17 years old, and the brother was 12 or 13 years old. Most of the villagers made a living by hunting, but these young men and girls naturally couldn't follow their fathers to hunt, so they often went to gather wild fruits or dig up wild vegetables. For these mountain villages, wild vegetables and wild fruits were the most common daily food. "Sister, look, there's a person lying there." The young man pointed at Lin Feng, who was lying in the distance. "Let's go and see," said the girl, running over with her brother. Darkness enveloped the area. A terrifying chi filled the air. In the endless darkness, a pair of cold eyes looked at the place where Lin Feng had been lying, but there was no one there anymore. "Who is it? Did you steal my prey?" said the Beast Emperor coldly. A terrifying murderous intent filled the air. In the distance, the Beast Kings were trembling. "Find out where that human cultivator is. I'll eat him." The Beast Emperor's voice sounded like it came from hell. "Yes," said the Beast Kings hastily. The Beast Emperor left. The Beast Kings hurriedly gathered the beasts in the forest and ordered them to find Lin Feng. The village was simple and unadorned. Very few people came here, but on that day, the sister and her brother had brought a young man back, causing a great commotion in the village. The old chief was alarmed and came to the stone house. "His injuries are too serious. I don't think he'll survive," said an elder of the village who knew a little about medicine. He sighed. The old chief stepped forward and said, "Take out the ancient cauldron and treat his injuries." "Chief, that's a sacred item passed down in our village. Only a member of our tribe can enter the cauldron," many elders said. The old chief said, "Saving him is more important." The other elders nodded in the end. They were all mountain people, so they were very simple. Even if their ancestors had rules, they decided to break them for once to save someone. Soon, an ancient cauldron was carried out by a dozen people. There were many herbs inside, and the old chief ordered people to fill it with water. Wood was piled underneath. Soon, the wood was ignited, and the temperature of the cauldron rose. The water inside began to boil, and all the herbs melted into the water. The clear water turned into a light green liquid. Chapter 10:17. Put the young man into the cauldron, said the old chief. Yes. Two strong young men lifted Lin Feng and put him into the boiling cauldron. When Lin Feng's body came into contact with the cauldron, a shocking scene occurred. A strange golden snake appeared in the cauldron. The strange snake began to swim around Lin Feng. The ancient cauldron was called the Sacred Snake Cauldron, and it was related to the strange golden snake. The little golden snake continued to circle around the sacred snake cauldron. It flicked its forked tongue and made a hissing sound. The boiling water didn't harm Lin Feng because of the strange golden snake. Instead, the medicinal liquid in the cauldron began to fuse with Lin Feng's body. Whoosh! Suddenly, the strange golden snake spat out balls of golden energy. The strange snake had absorbed the medicinal liquid and turned it into a kind of energy. The strange snake was called the sacred snake by the villagers because it could absorb medicinal liquid and turn it into golden energy to heal the injured. The energy fused with Lin Feng's dantian. The energy began to heal Lin Feng's injuries. After so many days, Lin Feng's injuries were slowly recovering, but the speed was extremely slow. Now, Lin Feng's injuries were recovering much faster, and his aura had become much stronger. Put in some more spiritual herbs and bring the 1,000-year-old blood ginseng from the village, said the old chief. It was the most precious spiritual herb in the village, and it was considered a treasure. It could save lives in a critical moment, and many villagers were unwilling to take it out when they were seriously injured and used the sacred snake cauldron to heal. Ancestor, do we really need to use the blood ginseng? An elder said with a pained expression. He was injured here. The old patriarch pointed at his abdomen. I heard from the great ancestor that it's very difficult to recover from an injury here. Although I don't know why it's so difficult to recover from an injury here, we need to use precious spirit medicines to save the injured. Finally, the blood ginseng was taken out and thrown into the cauldron along with dozens of other herbs. The blood ginseng was quickly dissolved and turned into pure energy. The strange golden snake would absorb this energy and then transform the dissolved energy of different medicines into that kind of golden energy, which would be sprayed into Lin Feng's dantian. Time slowly passed. The 15-centimeter-long crack in Lin Feng's origin source slowly shrank. In the end, it was only 10 centimeters long, and Lin Feng's aura also became much more stable. Carry him out. If he still doesn't wake up, we'll wait for Dashan to come back and have him collect some spiritual herbs, the old patriarch said. Then, 2 young men carried Lin Feng out of the sacred snake cauldron. There's still energy left. Little Jia, you youngsters should jump in too, the ancestor said. The boy called Xiao Jia was the one who carried Lin Feng to the mountain village. Little Jia nodded. Although he was still young, his parents had passed away early, so he had developed a calm personality since he was young. The rest of the youths, who were about the same age, had terrified expressions on their faces. Using the cauldron to refine one's body was like hovering between life and death every time. However, they didn't dare to disobey the old patriarch. After little Jia jumped into the cauldron, the rest of the youths jumped in one after another. Little Ling, take good care of him, the old patriarch said. Little Ling will definitely take good care of this big brother. A girl nodded. The girl was 16 or 17 years old. She was tall and had a braided hair. Her appearance was delicate and pretty, but her skin wasn't white. Instead, it was wheat-colored, which added a liveliness to her. In fact, how could ordinary villagers in the mountain village have fair skin? They had to work hard every day to make a living, especially little Ling. Ever since her parents died, she and her younger brother Xiao Jia depended on each other. Although there were villagers to take care of her, little Ling wasn't a person who would stretch out her hand and open her mouth to eat. Since she was very young, she went out to pick wild fruits and vegetables. Every day, she would help the ant in the village gather firewood and make a fire to cook. Although she was young, she knew how to do everything. In the evening, more than 30 men returned to the mountain village, carrying a wild boar that was 7 or 8 meters long. This kind of wild boar was called the Red Demon Boar King. It was extremely ferocious, and such a huge wild boar could often destroy an entire mountain village. If such a wild boar was sold outside, it could be sold for at least 10,000 silver taels. For a mountain village, this was a huge fortune. The village was suddenly overjoyed. In order to celebrate the hunting of the Red Demon Boar King, the village made a rare meat soup. Many children were jumping up and down in excitement because they hadn't smelled meat for more than half a month. Dashan, you have to go to the mountain tomorrow, the old patriarch said. Dashan was the old patriarch's son and the leader of the village's hunting team. He was almost 2 meters tall and looked like an iron tower. Dashan nodded and said, even the 1,000-year-old blood ginseng couldn't save him. I'm afraid we'll need even more precious herbs. After a pause, Dashan said, tomorrow, I plan to bring 2 people to the Medicine Valley. The old patriarch's expression changed slightly. He wanted to say something but stopped. Father, don't worry. I'll be careful. I won't alarm the fierce beasts inside. Dashan said, always be careful. If there's no chance, don't try to be brave. The old patriarch said. Dashan nodded. The bonfire burned fiercely, illuminating his resolute face with a red glow. The next day, Dashan left with 2 people. The old patriarch waited anxiously. He didn't tell the rest of the village about this because it would only make them worry. In the evening, Dashan and the 2 hunters from the village finally returned. Dashan's 6-year-old son ran over happily when he saw his father return. However, when he reached Dashan's side, he burst into tears. "Father, the hand." The little guy pointed at Deshawn's missing arm. Everyone was alarmed and quickly rushed out. When they saw that Deshawn was missing an arm, many people started crying. "My arm was bitten off by a beast, but I won't die. At least I brought something out of that place." Deshawn's right hand trembled as he took out 2 green fruits from his pocket. "Father, use this to heal the young man." Deshawn's lips were white. The old patriarch choked with sobs as he nodded and held the 2 green fruits in his hand. Deshawn's tower-like body collapsed due to excessive blood loss. "Quick, carry it in," the old patriarch said with a trembling voice. Chapter 10:18. Hundreds of herbs were placed into the sacred snake cauldron, and the 2 green fruits were also placed into the cauldron by the chief. Lin Feng was carried and placed into the cauldron once again. The strange golden snake appeared and slithered around in the cauldron. Lin Feng's Dao injury was gradually healed by the golden energy spat out by the strange snake. However, when the crack in his origin was 5 centimeters away, it could no longer shrink any further. This was because the injury to his origin could not be completely healed by spiritual medicine. Even if he swallowed the immortal elixir, he could not completely heal the injury to his origin. After the injury to his origin, a cultivator would need to slowly cultivate and recuperate. "There's still a lot of medicinal liquid. Let Deshawn enter to heal," the chief said. Dashan walked out of the stone house. His face was still very pale. He said, "My injuries aren't a problem. After resting for a few days, my wounds will heal and I'll be fine. Let the younger generation of the village enter and temper their bodies," Deshawn said. He was unwilling to enter the sacred snake cauldron because there were 2 extremely high-quality green fruits in it. They were very suitable for the younger generation to temper their bodies. The chief knew Deshawn's personality inside. He said, "Even if you don't enter, use the medicinal liquid to wash your wounds. It will speed up the healing process." Deshawn nodded. The chief ordered someone to bring out a basin of medicinal liquid. Deshawn's wife brought the medicinal liquid into the house. She cried as she helped Deshawn clean his wounds. The people in the village were simple and honest. Shan Shan's wife didn't blame Lin Feng because Shan Shan had broken his arm while helping Lin Feng. She just felt sorry for her husband. "Don't cry. The child is watching," Deshawn said as he wiped away his wife's tears. "Daddy, does it hurt?" Deshawn's son, Xiaobao, looked at Deshawn anxiously. "It doesn't hurt." Deshawn rubbed the little guy's head. "Xiaobao wants to be a man like Daddy in the future. Xiaobao will protect Daddy, Mommy, Grandpa, and the village." Xiaobao clenched his little fists and said with an innocent and serious face, "Good son. Daddy believes that Xiaobao will be able to do it when he grows up." Deshawn smiled. The next morning, Lin Feng's eyelids twitched as he lay on the bed. His fingers twitched as well. He slowly opened his eyes. He only felt intense pain all over his body. The most painful part was his dantian. His dantian felt like it was about to split open. Lin Feng sensed the condition of his dantian, and his face paled. Dao injury. He naturally remembered how the Great Rock King had been tortured by the Dao injury. Even a legendary figure like the Great Rock King found it difficult to withstand the Dao injury, let alone him. However, Lin Feng quickly let out a long sigh. He discovered that it wasn't a Dao injury, but an injury to his core. Although the source injury was also an extremely serious injury, it could still be healed after a period of rest and recuperation. At this time, Lin Feng began to look around the room. It was a stone house. The decorations were very simple. Other than a bed, a table, and 4 chairs, there was nothing else. "Big brother, you're awake?" "Sis, this big brother is awake." At this time, little Zay walked in. When he saw that Lin Feng had woken up, he quickly ran out and shouted loudly. Xiaoying also quickly entered the room. When she saw that Lin Feng had woken up, she smiled. "Big brother, how do you feel?" Xiaoying asked with concern. "I feel fine. Where is this place?" Lin Feng asked. "This is a mountain village called Wu Village," Xiaoying said. Lin Feng nodded. He didn't ask anything else. It was obviously unrealistic to ask the villagers what province this was. Lin Feng got off the bed with the help of the young girl. He staggered outside. The bright sun shone down, and it was somewhat dazzling. The news that Lin Feng had woken up quickly spread throughout the village, which only had a few hundred people. Many people came to visit Lin Feng. Kid, are you hungry? Kid, lie down and rest. You just woke up. You shouldn't move around too much. Many people were talking at once. Although this place was very backward and poor, the people here were very kind. Lin Feng's heart was filled with warmth. The old chief is here. Everyone, make way, someone shouted outside. The old chief came with Mountain. He was very happy to see that Lin Feng had woken up. Thank you for saving my life, Lin Feng said. He knew how terrifying an injury to one's foundation was. This kind of injury could make a person fall into a deep sleep. This village must have done something to wake him up. Otherwise, he would have continued sleeping. The old chief said kindly, everything was worth it to see you wake up. Young man, what's your name? Where are you from? My name is Lin Feng. I came from a very distant place. However, I was attacked by a savage beast and was injured, Lin Feng said. The old chief sighed and said, the mountains are very dangerous, and ferocious beasts often appear. Young people like you are walking in the mountains alone, so it's very easy for you to encounter danger. Fortunately, you're fine. You should stay in the village and recuperate. Lin Feng replied, yes. He chatted with the old chief for a while. Lin Feng felt quite tired, so he went back to rest with Xiaoying's help. Every day, people would send meat soup to Lin Feng to recuperate. However, the villagers ate wild vegetables and fruits. They could only eat rice or steamed buns made of coarse grain every day. Lin Feng sighed. Life in the village was very difficult. The simple and kind villagers made him feel very emotional. During this time, Lin Feng learned many things. Xiao Ying and Xiao Zhe had carried him back, and the village had used precious spirit medicines to heal him. He even learned about how Uncle Dashin had lost an arm to a savage beast in order to help him find medicine. He was very moved and silently remembered all of this. Every time he saw Uncle Dashin's hollow arm, his heart was filled with mixed feelings. Today was a big day for the village. Dashin and the others were transporting the Scarlet Demon Boar King and a dozen other wild beast corpses to a small town 100 kilometers away to sell. It was winter now, and savage beasts roamed about. The forest was extremely dangerous, and if they were not careful, they could encounter powerful savage beasts looking for food. If that happened, everyone would die a horrible death. However, in order to trade for food and other necessities, they had to take the risk and travel through the forest to the small town. The villagers were very worried, and many people were crying. In the past, accidents often happened on long journeys, so everyone was naturally worried and worried. It's cold, everyone go back. Don't worry about us. We'll be careful on the road, Dashin said with a smile. Big Mountain said with a smile. He hoped that such a smile could calm the panic and worry of the villagers. Chapter 10:19. The group slowly advanced. Everyone held weapons in their hands, and they were on high alert. Lin Feng sat in a carriage and followed the group to the town. He wanted to see if he could find out where this place was. Originally, Big Mountain didn't want Lin Feng to go with them because the journey was too dangerous and Lin Feng hadn't recovered yet. However, Lin Feng insisted, so Big Mountain had no choice but to agree. Brother Lin, you must be someone who has seen the world, right? A young man called Ergo asked. Many people looked at Lin Feng. To them, the outside world was full of mysteries. Lin Feng smiled at Ergo and asked, what do you think the outside world is like? Ergo scratched his head, not knowing how to answer. A middle-aged man in his 40s, nicknamed Old Tobacco Pipe, took a puff of his pipe and said, I heard that there are immortals out there who can fly. They can easily uproot a 1,000-meter-tall mountain. I wonder if you've seen them before? I've also heard that there are immortals who can fly and burrow into the ground. They're even more powerful than the beasts in the depths of the forest, and they can live forever. I heard that there are immortals who can turn stone into gold and water into oil. Everyone was talking at the same time, sharing some of the rumors that they had heard. Of course, these rumors were just rumors to them. They had never seen them before, so they treated them as stories. Lin Feng nodded and said, they're all real, but they're not immortals. Huh, they're all real? They're so powerful, but they're not immortals? Many people exclaimed. Lin Feng said, "They're called cultivators, and they have power that surpasses that of mortals." "Young man, have you seen cultivators before?" the old tobacco pipe asked. Lin Feng nodded and said, "I've seen cultivators before. They roam the world and sometimes appear in dangerous places." Everyone was shocked. Cultivators and immortals were the same kind of people in their eyes, and the villagers were envious that Lin Feng had seen immortals. The mountain path was rugged. Everyone traveled during the day and rested at night. Because of the ferocious beasts roaming around at night, it was too dangerous. Fortunately, there were no intelligent ferocious beasts in the outer regions. If they encountered a ferocious beast that had gained sentience and knew how to cultivate, it would be a disaster for ordinary people. At night, everyone was cultivating in a valley. A cold aura enveloped the forest. Lin Feng opened his eyes. He looked into the distance. Crack. There was a mountain god temple a dozen miles away. And now, the mountain god temple had cracked open. A zombie that had cultivated for 1,000 years flew out. That zombie was dressed in a black robe and was extremely ugly. It had long cultivated to the point that it was invulnerable. The zombie demon flew through the forest. Wherever it passed, all the ferocious beasts were instantly sucked dry of their flesh and blood, turning into dried corpses. Primitive forests were scary to begin with. Not only were there many ferocious beasts, but there were also many evil ghosts. In some mountain villages, people and livestock all died overnight. It was the work of these evil ghosts. The zombie's nose was very sensitive. It could smell the scent of humans from afar. The zombie demon quickly flew over. This 1,000-year-old zombie's cultivation was extremely high. Its black fog covered the sky and covered the entire valley. Its black robe fluttered. When the 1,000-year-old zombie saw the people in the valley with its cold eyes, it immediately let out an excited cry. The zombie demon loved to eat human flesh and soul. It was a great supplement for the zombie demon. The zombie demon pounced on the people in the valley. At that moment, the zombie demon saw a young human walk out. That human looked at it with his cold eyes. After seeing that human, the 1,000-year-old zombie demon trembled in fear and turned to flee. The 1,000-year-old zombie demon had seen a beast emperor in the depths of the forest. Even the aura emanating from the beast emperor's body was far inferior to that of a human. The next afternoon, everyone saw a small town in the distance. It went so smoothly this time. We didn't even encounter any ferocious beasts. The villagers were very excited. During the cold winter, there was a lack of food. So many ferocious beasts would appear in the periphery of the forest to hunt. Therefore, it was very easy to encounter powerful ferocious beasts. In the past, the people of Wu village had encountered ferocious beasts a few times. A total of more than 10 people had died. Everyone was very happy that they had arrived safely this time. Dashin smiled and said, "It went so smoothly this time. I hope it will go so smoothly when we return." Everyone's expressions became more serious. They didn't just have to be wary of ferocious beasts when they returned. They also had to be wary of humans. People's hearts were unpredictable. In the world of cultivators, people killed for treasures. In the world of ordinary people, people killed for treasures. The group entered the small town. This was the only small town in a 500-kilometer radius. It wasn't very big, but it was very lively with people coming and going. There were also a few mercenaries and adventurers resting here, but they were all low-level mercenaries and adventurers. "That's the Scarlet Demon Boar King. Is it from the Wu village?" Many people cried out when they saw the huge Scarlet Demon Boar King. Wu Dashin is missing an arm. Could it be that the Scarlet Demon Boar King bit off his arm? Someone asked. He obviously knew Wu Dashin. That's very likely the case. The others nodded. There was a market in the town where people could trade. The group arrived at the market, and after paying a certain amount of taxes, they rented a spot in the market. Ordinary wild beasts were quite popular, and they were all bought by restaurants. The 8 wild beasts were sold for a total of 300 silver taels. However, a huge beast like the Scarlet Demon Boar King cost at least 10,000 silver taels. Ordinary restaurants couldn't afford it. At that moment, a dozen or so people on horses galloped over. Many people hurriedly made way for them. The leader of the group was a woman in her 20s. Her name was Li Yuan. She was the mayor's daughter, and it was said that she cultivated in a sect and had mastered divine magic. Such a person was like an immortal, and it was natural that everyone revered her. When the group arrived beside the scarlet demon boar king, Li Yuan stopped and looked at it in surprise. This scarlet demon boar king has the strength of a general. Were you the ones who killed it? Uncle Dashin hurriedly said. We used a trick to lure it into a trap and then killed it. Li Yuan nodded and said, 15,000 silver taels. Send it to the mayor's residence. Thank you, young mistress. Everyone was in high spirits. They had originally set the price at 10,000 silver taels, but they were still worried about whether they could sell it. Now, they had sold it for 15,000 silver taels. 15,000 silver taels was enough for the village to live in luxury for a few years. All right. Li Yuan nodded and galloped off into the distance on her horse. Hurry up and scram, the third steward said coldly. Let's go, Uncle Dashin said, not daring to stay here any longer. The group left, but Face said unhappily, Uncles, why didn't you let us tell the young lady that the third steward had embezzled 10,000 taels of silver from us? Uncle Dashin sighed and said, we can't afford to offend that person. 5,000 taels of silver is already a huge fortune. I just hope that we can return safely. But Face and the other young men also came to their senses after hearing Uncle Dashin's words. They couldn't help but sigh. It was a wise saying that the people shouldn't fight with the rich. This was true no matter where one went in the secular world. The people of Wu village were the people. The third steward was the rich. If they continued to fight, only death would await them. Lin Feng shook his head slightly. He was afraid that Uncle Dashin's hope of returning safely would be dashed. The third steward was not a kind person. In the backyard of the mayor's residence, the third steward summoned a servant and said, Go and inform Lu Xing, tell him to send someone to keep an eye on that group of people. Halfway there, the third steward made a throat-slitting gesture. Yes. The servant hurriedly replied and left. Uncle Dashin, let's go to a restaurant to improve our lives, but Face said, scratching his head. Yes, Uncle Dashin. Let's go and try the delicacies here. A few young men looked at Uncle Dashin with eager eyes. Uncle Dashin grinned and said, All right, we can eat to our heart's content today. The few young men cheered excitedly. Although they said that they were going to improve their lives, they couldn't possibly go to a restaurant that cost a lot. Everyone came to a small restaurant and tied their carriages outside. They were worried that their carriages would be stolen, so they decided to eat in the shed outside. There were a total of 12 people. Uncle Dashin ordered 6 dishes and 1 soup. There were 4 vegetarian dishes, 2 meat dishes, and the soup was also tofu soup. There were enough steamed buns. Everyone ate with relish. To the villagers, this was already considered a luxury. Lin Feng had lived in the village for a while and knew how tough life there was. After eating, everyone went to buy salt, grain, and other necessities. They pulled 3 carriages, most of which were grain. Winter was longer in the mountains, and the grain was for the entire village to survive the winter. Uncle Dashin, let's go buy some weapons. Look, these spears are blunt and can't pierce through the bodies of wild beasts. But Face said, All right, let's buy them. Uncle Dashin nodded and spent 1,000 taels of silver to buy a batch of weapons. Everyone was extremely excited. They held the newly bought weapons in their hands and couldn't bear to part with them. Lin Feng couldn't find a bookstore in the small town. It seemed that he had to find another way to find out more about the state. After buying all kinds of things, everyone set off to return. At night, everyone hid in a valley to rest, leaving 2 people to keep watch. After midnight, Lin Feng opened his eyes and left without making any sound. 3 miles away, more than 20 bandits dressed in black were rushing towards the valley where they were. There were many bandits in the deep mountains. In fact, most of these bandits were in contact with the rich families in the towns and cities. Boss, look, there's someone over there. Suddenly, one of the bandits pointed at a rock in front of them. Isn't that someone from the Wu family village? This kid is slightly different from the younger generation of the Wu family village. I noticed him at that time. Another bandit said, Shoot him. The bandit leader was Lu Xing, who was mentioned by the third butler," he said coldly. Immediately, someone took out a bow and arrow, wanting to kill Lin Feng. However, the bandit exclaimed, "Boss, that kid is gone." Poof! In the next moment, the bandit with the bow and arrow was beheaded. "Not good. This kid is cruel. Retreat quickly." Lu Xing cried out in horror. Lin Feng raised his right hand and slashed the air. Sword chi filled the air. Poof! 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 The bodies of the bandits were instantly torn apart. Lu Xing was just an ordinary person and had never seen such a killing method. He was already scared out of his wits. He knelt on the ground and cried out in horror, "Young master, every injustice has its perpetrator and every debt has its debtor. We were ordered to come here by the third butler. Please forgive." Poof! Before he could finish speaking, Lu Xing's head was chopped off. Lin Feng's expression was indifferent. "Don't worry, the third butler will accompany you to hell soon." Lin Feng took a step forward and was already hundreds of meters away. Half an hour later, he saw the small town shrouded in darkness. Chapter 10:21. The mayor's mansion was very lively. Li Yuan and her fellow disciples had gone to the forest to train, so they were temporarily staying in her house. Li Yuan's fellow disciples were not ordinary people. Some of them had important statuses in the sect, and some were even descendants of great elders. Thus, the Li family treated them with great importance and had even prepared a banquet for them. The third butler was called Li Nong, and he was a very good person. He had arranged the banquet very well, and the various programs were very interesting to the disciples of the sect. After the banquet ended, the lively mansion gradually quieted down. The third butler returned to his residence, and a few of his trusted subordinates immediately came forward to congratulate him. One of them said, "Sir, you handled the affairs of the sect's disciples very well. You will definitely be praised by the master and the young miss. The head butler is getting old and will retire soon. The second butler's limelight will be overshadowed by you, sir. It seems that you will soon become the new head butler." When Li Nong heard the compliments, he looked extremely pleased. He said, "When I become rich, I will naturally not forget about you." "Thank you, sir." The subordinates knelt on the ground excitedly. "I'm afraid that you won't be able to become rich." An indifferent voice suddenly sounded. Everyone in the room jumped in fright. They looked over and saw a young man sitting on a bench a dozen meters away. He looked at them with a smile that was not a smile. There were so many of them, yet they hadn't noticed how he had appeared. Everyone felt a chill run down their spines. The third butler recognized Lin Feng at a glance. His face turned pale. You. The third butler was so frightened that he couldn't speak coherently. Lin Feng stood up and said indifferently, "You want to ask me if I was killed by those bandits? Why am I still here?" Lin Feng smiled. "Your wishful thinking is wrong. Those bandits weren't my match, so I killed them. Now, it's your turn." "Guards, there's an assassin," shouted the third butler. Lin Feng pursed his lips. "It's useless. No matter how much you shout, your voice won't be heard." Whoosh! Lin Feng raised his right hand, and a stream of sword energy flew out. Puff! The bodies of several servants were instantly torn apart. The third steward's face was as pale as a sheet of paper. He knelt on the ground and begged, "Young master, please spare my life." This lowly one had eyes, but failed to recognize Mount Tai. This lowly one offended young master. This lowly one is willing to compensate young master 10 times. No, 100 times the amount of money that young master has embezzled. Lin Feng sneered and said, "Do you think I'd be interested in those things of yours?" Whoosh! At this moment, the third steward suddenly raised his sleeve. Arrows hidden in sleeves. An arrow shot towards Lin Feng. Die! The third steward laughed sinisterly. He had been waiting for this opportunity, waiting for Lin Feng to be careless. Now, the third steward finally got his chance. The arrow in the third steward's hand was about to hit Lin Feng's body, but Lin Feng lightly flicked it. Clang! The arrow broke. Seeing this scene, the third butler revealed an extremely frightened expression. The next moment, he felt a sharp pain in his neck. Then, the 3 Guan family members were separated. Lin Feng opened the door and walked outside. Who are you? How dare you commit murder in my residence? Just as Lin Feng was about to leave, a cold snort sounded out. Slap, 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 slap. A flaming whip lashed towards Lin Feng. The person who had attacked was Li Yuan-er, the eldest daughter of the Li family. Li Yuan-er's cultivation was quite good. She was a third-layer martial king. Of course, she couldn't compare to the top geniuses, but she might have a chance to enter the yin-yang realm in the future. Lin Feng guessed that Li Yuan-er's sect wasn't a large one. It was probably just a small faction. He gently leaned to the side and dodged Li Yuan-er's attack. It's you. Li Yuan-er was shocked when she saw Lin Feng. She remembered Lin Feng's social status. Wasn't he one of the villagers she had met today? Li Yuan-er was extremely shocked. This person had just dodged her attack. How could a mountain villager have such strength? The third steward sent people to kill us. Even death can't wipe out his crimes. Are you satisfied with this explanation? Lin Feng said indifferently. He didn't plan to fight Li Yuan-er, even though his strength had been greatly reduced due to the injury to his core. However, it wasn't too difficult to deal with Li Yuan-er. Of course, Lin Feng wasn't interested in Li Yuan-er, who was at such a high level. Li Yuan-er's expression flickered. She put away her whip and looked coldly at Lin Feng. Who are you? Lin Feng didn't answer. Instead, he asked, which prefecture is this? Li Yuan-er found it strange that a powerful cultivator like Lin Feng didn't know which prefecture they were in. However, she still answered, this is Nanzhou. Nanzhou? The one near the South Sea? Lin Feng frowned. The desolate region was in the north, while Nanzhou was in the south. It would take at least a year to reach the desolate region by using the space-time wormhole. If they were delayed for a while, it would take a few years to reach the desolate region. Li Yuan-er nodded. It's that Nanzhou. Where's the space-time wormhole? Lin Feng asked. I don't know. Li Yuan-er shook her head. Then, what's the closest city to here? Or where's the closest teleportation formation? Lin Feng asked. If you fly west on a griffin for half a year, you'll reach a city, but it doesn't have a teleportation formation. If you fly east for 2 months, you'll reach the Tao-seeking sect's mountain gate. We have a teleportation formation, and other cultivators can use it, but they'll have to pay a sufficient price for the elders to activate it. Li Yuan-er explained. Lin Feng nodded. Thank you for telling me. I have a small gift for you as a token of my gratitude. Lin Feng flicked his finger, and a jade talisman flew out. It was a formation jade talisman that he had refined and could be used 10 times. Li Yuan-er took the jade talisman and blushed. Usually, only lovers would give jade pendants to each other. She bit her lips and snorted. I don't want this. I've never taken back anything I've given out. If you don't want it, then throw it away. Lin Feng left the Li residence. Who does this guy think he is? I'll throw it at him today. Li Yuan-er was about to throw the jade talisman away. However, after thinking about it, she put it away. If she saw Lin Feng again, she planned to return the jade talisman to Lin Feng and tell Lin Feng not to have any ideas about her. Thinking about Lin Feng, Li Yuan-er couldn't help but frown. She felt that Lin Feng was a bit mysterious. What a strange guy, Li Yuan-er muttered. Li Yuan-er muttered and then left. She didn't bother with the corpses of the third steward and the others. If they were found tomorrow, the servants would naturally take care of them. Chapter 10:22. The morning sun shone down, adding some warmth to the cold winter. Lin Feng sat cross-legged on a low mountain peak, breathing in and out. Facing the rising sun, he absorbed the power of the first purple sun between heaven and earth, which could help him recover from his injuries. Before his injuries were healed, Lin Feng didn't plan to leave Stone Village. During this period, Lin Feng would study all kinds of Taoist, alchemy, and the inheritance of the celestial master path. A year's plan is in the spring, a day's plan is in the morning. Only by working hard can you obtain a strong body. Uncle Dashin's powerful voice came from a small clearing in the mountain village. A group of teenagers were all in the horse stance. There were also some 4 or 5-year-old children. Although they were younger, they were also in the horse stance with their older brothers in the village. Lin Feng walked down from the mountain peak. His morning practice was also over. It's time to eat, and Annie shouted. Young and old came out. They gathered together for breakfast. The mountain village ate together. Originally, they wanted to give Lin Feng a special meal, but Lin Feng refused. Eating together with everyone was also a kind of pleasure. Even if the food tasted terrible, Lin Feng felt that it was better than delicacies. At night, Uncle Dashin and the others gathered together to discuss hunting in the mountains. This time, they planned to bring a few newcomers with them to broaden their horizons. Training newcomers was a tradition in the village. It was done every year. 4 17 or 18-year-old teenagers were selected. It was their first time entering the forest with Uncle Dashin and the others. They were excited and nervous. Sooner or later, I'll follow Uncle Dashin and the others into the forest to hunt. Little Jia clenched his fists. His little face was full of anticipation. On the third day, there were constant roars of beasts. It's a vicious beast. Lin Feng frowned. Vicious beasts usually lived in the depths of the forest. They rarely came out. Now that they could hear the roars of vicious beasts, it meant that there were vicious beasts in the periphery. He couldn't help but worry for Uncle Dashin and the others. The village was also filled with a sense of unease. Everyone waited anxiously, but after waiting for 2 days, they did not see the team return. Logically speaking, Uncle Dashin and the others would definitely choose to return if something like this happened in the forest, unless something unexpected happened. Fifth brother, take a few people and go find Dashin and the others. The old patriarch said to an elder. Yes, I'll bring some people to look for Dashin and the others. The fifth elder said, I'll go. Lin Feng said, Young man, your injuries haven't healed yet. It's safer for you to stay in the village. The fifth elder said. Lin Feng raised his right hand and slashed at the void. Pooh! I miss it. The scarlet flame devil tiger laughed and walked towards Uncle Dashin and the others. I'm also very interested in human flesh. The single-horned rhinoceros said sinisterly. The 2 ferocious beasts walked towards Uncle Dashin and the others. If you don't let us go, we'll throw away the geocentric milk. Uncle Dashin said with a trembling voice. You're just an ant. Do you have the ability to throw it away? The scarlet flame devil tiger said disdainfully. Whoosh! He blew a puff of air. Uncle Dashin and the others were instantly rooted to the ground. Ah, I can't move. I can't move either. Many people shouted in fear. Let's start with you. I want to taste the delicious human flesh. The scarlet flame demon tiger leaped into the air and opened its bloody mouth, swallowing Uncle Dashin whole. My life is over. Uncle Dashin's face was full of fear. Even though he was a man of steel, he was still afraid in the face of death. He had too many things to worry about. His old father, his wife, his son, his family. However, facing such a ferocious beast, there was no way to resist. A few of the young men started to cry because of the shock they felt. Bang! Just as the scarlet flame devil tiger was about to eat Uncle Dashin, a huge rock with a diameter of more than 10 meters flew over and smashed into the scarlet flame devil tiger, sending it flying. Crack, crack. Many of the scarlet flame devil tiger's bones were broken. Chapter 10:23. Roar. The crimson flame demon tiger let out an angry roar and jumped up from the ground. Its cold eyes stared at the approaching human. The other unicorn rhinoceros also looked at the approaching human with its gloomy eyes. It felt that this human was very dangerous. Lin, brother Lin? But Face and the others were shocked beyond words. The one who had thrown the boulder at the crimson flame demon tiger was Lin Feng. When did brother Lin become so powerful? Uncle Dashin, are you okay? Lin Feng asked. Uncle Dashin only recovered from his shock at this moment and shook his head. Leave the rest to me. Lin Feng walked towards the 2 ferocious beasts. With your cultivation, you shouldn't be in the outskirts of the forest. Lin Feng raised his eyebrows. Boy, you're about to die, and you still care about where we are? The crimson flame demon tiger glared at Lin Feng. You don't know what's good for you. Lin Feng raised his right hand and slashed at the crimson flame demon tiger with sword chi. The crimson flame demon tiger suddenly felt the threat of death. It didn't know how strong this human was until now. It quickly took out its own inner core to block Lin Feng's attack. Puff. However, The crimson flame demon tiger's inner core was torn apart in an instant. Then, the sword chi cut the crimson flame demon tiger's body in half. Oh my god! Such a powerful monster was killed by Brother Lin just like that? Brother Lin is one of the legendary mighty immortals? But Face exclaimed in surprise. No wonder Brother Lin said that he had seen mighty immortals before. So Brother Lin is a mighty immortal. It's normal for mighty immortals to see mighty immortals, a young man named Sanhai said. Children born in the mountain villages were named casually. Most of them had names like Go Z, Hey Z, Erwa, and so on. First, it was easy to remember. Second, the elders in the mountain villages said that such crude names were easier to raise. Lin Feng looked at Uncle Dashin and said, although it was cut in half, it didn't affect the quality of its meat. This demon tiger's blood is very nutritious. When the time comes, boil it in the sacred snake cauldron and let everyone soak in it. Your body will improve greatly. Uncle Dashin nodded quickly. He ordered Buttface and the others to collect the tiger's blood. They must not waste the blood of the crimson flame demon tiger's blood. Tiger's blood was extremely precious. Ordinary tiger's blood was already worth thousands of gold, not to mention the blood of a powerful vicious beast like the scarlet flame demon tiger. Lin Feng looked at the rhinoceros and said indifferently, the beef is good too. I haven't eaten beef in a long time. When the rhinoceros heard Lin Feng's words, it was scared to death. When the rhinoceros saw that Lin Feng had killed the scarlet fire tiger, it knew that it couldn't compete with this human being. However, how did such a powerful human get together with a group of mountain villagers? This made the single-horned rhinoceros extremely confused. Soon, the rhinoceros beast thought of a possibility. The Lord Beast Emperor, who was entrenched in the depths of the forest, ordered several beast kings to mobilize a group of beasts to search for an injured human cultivator. Could the injured human cultivator be this person in front of him? He was rescued by the villagers? So when Lord Beast Emperor wanted to kill him, he disappeared without a trace. The single-horned rhinoceros beast sensed the condition of Lin Feng's body. Immediately, it discovered that the human in front of it was indeed injured. His breathing was a little chaotic, and there seemed to be a very serious injury in his dantian. An injury to his dantian was either a Dao injury or an injury to his origin. If it was a Dao injury, he would have died long ago. Was that why he was injured? The single-horned rhinoceros beast suddenly had the urge to curse. Even with such a severe injury to his origin, how terrifying would it be if he recovered? Sir, I'm willing to submit. Please don't eat me. The single-horned rhinoceros hurriedly knelt on the ground. Lin Feng said coolly, you are quite perceptive. I heard that many Yaos know how to transform. Do you know such a secret technique as well? I know a thing or two. The single-horned rhinoceros beast hurriedly replied. Lin Feng nodded and said, turn into a green ox and protect the village. Are you willing? Of course, I am willing. The single-horned rhinoceros beast did not dare to say anything even though it was unwilling. It could only say something against its will. It turned into a huge green ox that was 3 meters long and 2 meters tall. Uncle Dashin and the others clicked their tongues in amazement. Why did you beasts come out? Lin Feng asked. It's the Golden Crow Beast Emperor entrenched in the depths of the forest. It heard that a powerful human cultivator was injured, so it sent us out to search for him, the green ox said cautiously. Lin Feng was shocked. Lin Feng sneered and said, it seems that the Golden Crow Beast Emperor is looking for me. Does it want to devour me? I don't know. The green ox trembled in fear. Everyone returned to the village. Lin Feng had cast a restrictive spell on the green ox's soul, so he was not afraid that it would escape. As long as it dared to escape or harm the people in the village, the restriction would destroy its soul. The green ox knew this, so it was very honest. Apart from the old chief and a few elders who knew about its origin, the others did not know. Many naughty children in the village even climbed on the green ox's back and let it carry them to play. Take all of the tiger's blood and mix it with some medicinal herbs. Boil it in the sage snake cauldron. Everybody in the village can soak in it. It can strengthen their bodies. The tiger's meat and bones are also precious treasures. Don't sell them. Keep them for yourself. Those things can make many strong cultivators. They can be used to train people. Lin Feng said to the old chief and the others. The old chief and the others naturally knew how valuable the tiger was. Its entire body was a treasure. It could change their village. It could make a weak village strong. And the big green ox outside could even protect the safety of the village. In the future, they would no longer have to live in fear and trepidation. Thank you very much, Immortal. The old chief and the others bowed to Lin Feng. Lin Feng hastily supported the old man and said, Mister, don't be so polite. If you hadn't saved my life, I would have died in the forest. From now on, please call me Mister, said Lin Feng. The old chief nodded and said kindly, You've been busy the whole day. Go back and have a rest. Lin Feng nodded and chatted with him for a while before leaving. Around midnight, Lin Feng woke up with a start. This was because he sensed an astonishing wave of energy coming from the depths of the forest. He walked out of his room and gazed into the distance. In the depths of the forest, celestial light dashed to the sky. He wondered if some incredible treasure was about to appear. Where is that? Lin Feng looked at the ox, who was also astonished. That's the place of death, the celestial evil mountain. The strength of the big green ox rapidly increased, and it quickly reached the peak of the yin-yang realm. Because it had swallowed the divine origin, the strength of the big green ox was much stronger than many creation realm cultivators. Even if it's the golden crow beast emperor, I have the confidence to fight it now. The big green ox was indescribably heroic. A few children ran over, wanting to ride on the back of the big green ox to play. The big green ox, which was originally like a tiger that could swallow mountains and rivers, instantly quieted down. It smiled embarrassedly, bit a few children, and threw them onto its back. The little ones clapped their hands excitedly. The big green ox's actions were novel and fun for them. During this time, Lin Feng was also recovering. He had refined a lot of the Earth's core elixir collected by Uncle Dashin and the others. It was a heavenly treasure that was nurtured by the heavens and earth. It was very effective in healing injuries. Lin Feng's injuries were gradually recovering. He estimated that it wouldn't take long for him to fully recover. During this time, the ancient and dense primitive forest was not calm. Immortal evil mountain of the land of death was constantly emitting immortal light. It seemed that a treasure was about to be born. This caused quite a commotion. More and more people began to come. The southern continent was the largest continent in the Tianwu continent. Naturally, there were as many experts as there were clouds. There were 4 top powers here. They were called 1 sect, 3 palaces. 1 sect was called the Upper Heaven Gate. The 3 palaces were called Tuoba Palace, Zhongzheng Palace, and Shangguan Palace. Among the 4 top powers, the Upper Heaven Gate was the strongest. The patriarch of the Upper Heaven Gate, Gong Sun Xian, was a terrifying cultivator. When he was young, he had been one of the strongest geniuses. He had participated in many battles between geniuses. Each time, he had finished in the top 3. Later, his cultivation level had skyrocketed, and he had become a peerless cultivator. Besides, the Upper Heaven Gate had many strong cultivators. For example, Gong Sun Xian's son, Gong Sun Wusu, was one of the strongest geniuses in the 3,000 provinces. Many top powers had come. The 1 sect and 3 palaces were a bit further away, so it would take some time. However, the cultivators who were closer had already arrived. So many immortals. The people in the mountain village were talking about it. The old patriarch gave an order. He told everyone not to go outside. They didn't want to disturb the immortals. If that happened, a disaster would befall them. What's that immortal treasure? Why are there so many top powers here? Asked Lin Feng, looking at the ox. I'm not sure, but it appears once every few hundred years. It's very strange. Many strong cultivators have come, but they haven't been able to take the celestial treasure away. The powers of the South Continent think that this treasure is extraordinary. Every time the celestial treasure appears, many great powers come. The more you can't get something, the more precious it is, said Lin Feng. Ferocious beasts roared. More and more cultivators arrived on ferocious beasts. Of course, there were also independent cultivators, but there weren't that many of them. Besides, Independent cultivators couldn't compete with the cultivators of the top powers. Most of them had just come to join in the fun. In the distance, a group of cultivators on ferocious beasts arrived. "Look, there's a mountain village," said a cultivator, pointing at a mountain village in the distance. It was noon, and there was smoke rising from the mountain village because the aunties in the village were preparing lunch. "Very good. Capture a few people and lead the way. We'll walk around the mountains and see if we can find any treasures. These vulgar mountain people should know the location of some treasures. These barbarians should be able to find treasures here," said a young man. "Roar." The black demon beast let out an earth-shattering roar, crushing the void as it charged in the direction of the village. So many exalted immortals had arrived, and they didn't seem to have good intentions. "Tell the elderly, women, and children to hide in the caves," ordered the old man. The mountain village was in chaos. The mountain village was in a state of panic. At this time, the group of cultivators riding black magic beasts had already rushed over. "How long have you lived here?" asked the cultivator. The old chief replied, "According to the records, it's been around for 500 years. It seems like you're very familiar with the forest. Send 10 people to be our guides. We'll explore some dangerous places," said the cultivator. The old man's expression changed. The old patriarch's expression suddenly changed. Going to explore the danger zone was naturally not a problem for those powerful cultivators. But the villagers didn't have much strength. If they went to explore the danger zone for them, they would definitely die. "What? You don't agree? What if you dare to resist? Do you think I won't destroy your village?" That cultivator had a sneer on his face. Casually wiping out a mountain village was too easy for an expert like him. Chapter 10:25. The old clan leader and the others turned pale. They were just villagers, and they couldn't resist these mighty immortals. "I'll go. Anyway, I have a younger brother who can take care of my parents in the future." But Face clenched his teeth and walked out. He knew that he would die if he left with these people, but he didn't hesitate because someone had to be sacrificed. "I'll go too." "Me too." One by one, the villagers walked out. Some were young, some were older. "Then let's go. Don't waste time," the cultivator said coldly. But Face Sanwa. Many people were crying. They were sad. But now, they couldn't resist. If they resisted, hundreds of people in the village would die tragically. "Don't be sad for us. If there's a next life, we're willing to be reincarnated in Stone Village." But Face and the others said. Their words made many villagers feel as if their hearts were being stabbed. But Face and the others turned around and followed these people into the distance. Moo. At that moment, the sound of a cow came from dozens of feet away. The big green ox was walking over. The cultivators were slightly surprised because they had never seen such a huge green ox. However, even though they were slightly moved, they didn't pay too much attention to it. It was just an ordinary green ox. Perhaps it was a livestock raised in a mountain village. Naturally, it wouldn't attract the attention of these people. However, the Azure Bull stopped Buttface and the others. Buttface and the others were stunned. They patted the green ox and were about to pass it. The green ox rushed toward the cultivator crazily. Is the green ox crazy? The cultivators were shocked. The old clan leader and the others knew that the green ox was strong, but how could it be a match for so many mighty immortals? Zhangtang, it seems that the green ox has intelligence. It won't let us take these villagers away. The leading young master said with a smile. Today, we're all in luck. Let's kill this green ox and make it into a dish to go with wine. The cultivator called Zhangtang sneered and leaped forward. He instantly arrived before Azure Ox and slammed his palm towards Azure Ox. Moo! The green ox roared and pointed its horns at Zhangtang. Bang! A muffled sound of collision was heard. Zhangtang was sent flying several hundred meters away by the big green ox. He fell to the ground and spat out a mouthful of blood. After twitching a few times, he fainted. The green ox is so powerful. The villagers were all shocked. No one had expected the green ox to be so fierce. That was an ascendant immortal. And yet, the big cyan ox had sent him flying just like that. Additionally, it would appear that he had also suffered from a very serious injury. The big cyan ox was simply too savage. Even Uncle Dashin and the others, who had seen the battle between the big green ox and the red-flamed demon tiger, were extremely shocked. In their opinion, no matter how powerful the big green ox was, it was impossible for it to be a match for a mighty immortal. But now, the big green yak had seriously injured the exalted immortal. It was truly unbelievable. The reason why Uncle Dashin and the others had this misconception was because they did not understand the world of cultivators. The exalted immortals in their eyes were actually far inferior to the powerful, ferocious beasts. That green ox has become a spirit. Let's kill it together, the leading young master ordered coldly. Immediately, over 20 cultivators rode on their black flame beasts and charged towards the big green bull. Moo! The big green ox roared, and its huge body rushed out, causing the earth to tremble slightly. Bang, bang, bang. Following a series of violent collisions, the black flame beasts and the cultivators riding them were all sent flying by the big green ox. A few black flame beasts were directly killed. Those that were not killed were also seriously injured. Those cultivators who were originally high up in the air were also seriously injured. All of them looked at the big green ox with fear. The big green ox walked towards the leader of the young men, raised its huge hoof, and stomped on him directly. Crack! The sound of bones breaking could be heard. The young man let out a miserable cry. The intense pain from his broken leg swept through his entire body. His body trembled violently. Don't kill me. It's my fault for not recognizing you and disturbing your cultivation. I'll take my people and leave now. The young man begged. Bang! The big green ox raised its hoof and kicked the young man away. Then, the big green ox turned around and walked slowly into the distance. A few black flame beast corpses were left on the ground. The rest of the people left in a sorry state. Ox God. Many villagers knelt down and bowed to the big green ox. The old patriarch and the others put away their shock and hurriedly got people to carry the black flame beast corpses into the village. The big green ox came to Lin Feng's side and continued to breathe. Lin Feng sat cross-legged on the mountain peak. He had not moved for 3 days and 3 nights. He had also instructed the villagers not to disturb him, because now was the most crucial time for Lin Feng to recover from his injuries. 3 days later, cultivators riding black flame beasts rushed towards the mountain village. There were even more of them, about 40 to 50 people. On the way, many cultivators from different forces were very surprised. Where were the people from the Black Profound sect going in such an aggressive manner? I heard that Tang Miao suffered a great loss in a small mountain village. One of his legs was broken. It can't be. The mountain village is full of villagers. How could they break Tang Miao's leg? Your news is too outdated. Tang Miao's leg was indeed broken, but it was not broken by those villagers. It was broken by a big green ox. A big green ox? That's right. It's a big green ox. It might have cultivated into a demon. What's going on? Why would the big green ox break Tang Miao's leg? Tang Miao and the others wanted to go to a dangerous place to explore. They needed to find some cannon fodder to help them investigate the situation. So they went to a mountain village to capture people. Who knew that there was a big green ox in the mountain village? That big green ox was very powerful. The two sides fought. Tang Miao and the others were no match for that big green ox and left in a sorry state. Let's go and watch the show. Many people followed the people from the Black Profound sect to the mountain village. Rumble. A loud sound shook the sky. Beasts roared, and dust rose everywhere. The cultivators from the Black Profound sect came to the mountain village. The mountain village was quiet. Everyone was hiding. No one came out. They're all hiding in the depths of the cave. A cultivator said, "Look, there's a big green ox over there." Someone pointed in the distance. A huge green ox was walking over. What a good ox. It dared injure people from the Black Profound sect. Today, the Black Profound sect will kill you. Not only will you die, but everyone in the village will die as well. That's the only way to appease the Black Profound sect's anger. A middle-aged cultivator smiled icily. His eyes were filled with killing intent. Tang Guolong is a yin-yang cultivator. He's personally leading people here. The fate of the whole mountain village is already sealed. Many cultivators whispered to each other. As far as they were concerned, the mountain village and the ox were about to die. "Kill it," ordered Tangualong. Yes. A dozen cultivators rode their black magical beasts and rushed out. They took out flying swords and attacked the ox. Chapter 10:26. The flying swords emitted a cold killing intent as they slashed towards the green ox. Clang, 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 however. When the flying swords hit the green ox, the sound of metal clashing could be heard. The flying swords seemed to have hit metal, causing sparks to fly in all directions. They were unable to cause any damage to the green ox. Oh my God, this green ox is so powerful. It blocked the flying swords with its body. It seems that its cultivation is very high. That's right. It must have cultivated for many years. It won't be easy to kill it. If the people of the Black Profound sect know what's good for them, they should choose to retreat. They shouldn't continue to fight with such a powerful ox monster. In the end, even if they can kill the green ox, they will suffer heavy losses. Many cultivators were discussing this matter, but it was obvious that the people of the Black Profound sect didn't want to leave. "Sword array," Tangualong said coldly as he took the lead and flew out. The other 40 to 50 people also flew out and scattered everywhere. These people lined up together like a huge dragon. This sword array was called the Long Dragon Sword Array. Tangualong, who was standing at the front, was the dragon head. He took out a peak-level treasure. "Sword, rise." He waved his right hand, and the treasure sword flew into the air. The sword's cry echoed in the sky. It resounded through the clouds. Everyone took out their flying swords. These flying swords were connected to each other, and a dragon's cry could be heard. These flying swords turned into a sword dragon, baring its fangs and brandishing its claws as it rushed towards the green ox. The green ox was furious. Rumble. The earth shook and the mountains shook. The green ox charged forward. Its huge body directly charged towards the flying sword dragon. The green ox's horns collided with the sword dragon. These ferocious beasts had cultivated their cultivation and turned into monsters. They all had their own powerful abilities. The green ox's original body was a single-horned rhinoceros. From its name, it could be seen that the green ox was powerful. Of course, it was the horn. Cultivators would refine their own natal magic treasures. Some ferocious beasts that turned into monsters didn't know how to refine their own magic treasures, so they often chose to refine a part of their body to increase their attack power. For example, an eagle's claws, a tiger's tail or teeth, or the horn of a single-horned rhinoceros. Clang, clang, clang. The big green ox's horn suddenly charged towards the sword dragon. Kacha kacha. One after another, the flying swords were broken by the bull's horns. Several dozen flying swords became a pile of scrap metal in the blink of an eye. At this time, the big green ox had already arrived in front of the Black Profound sect's cultivators. Oh no! Tangualong's face suddenly changed. It was too late for him to dodge, so he slammed his palm toward the big green ox. Puff! In the next moment, the bull's horns hit Tangualong's body and pierced through his body. Bang, bang, bang. The great azure ox charged forward, and the cultivators behind Tangualong were all sent flying. One by one, they coughed out mouthfuls of blood and fell to the ground, dead. They were simply incapable of enduring the formidable impact of the great azure ox's charge. Only a dozen or so people were lucky enough to survive. Even Tangualong was killed by the big green yak. Run! The dozen or so people of the Black Mysterious sect who were still alive cried out in alarm and fled into the distance. At this moment, the big green ox opened its mouth and spat out a ball of air. Whoosh! The big green ox's breath was like a sword. Puff, puff, puff. The dozen or so fleeing cultivators of the Black Mysterious sect were all killed. They're all dead. This big green ox is too terrifying. The surrounding cultivators who were watching the show felt their hearts palpitate. Even Tangualong had died a miserable death. This shocked everyone. The big green ox opened its mouth and suddenly sucked in. All the corpses were devoured by the big green ox. No way. Isn't the green ox a grass eater? Why is it eating humans? The corners of the cultivators' mouths twitched violently when they saw this. Someone rolled his eyes and said, The green ox eats grass, but this one is no longer an ordinary green ox. It has already cultivated into a yow. What can't it eat? Everyone thought about it and felt that this made sense. The Black Mysterious Sect is not simple. After suffering such a huge loss, they will definitely not let this matter rest, said a cultivator. Many people stayed. Instead of leaving, they chose to stay because they felt that there would be a good show later. The big green ox walked into the distance and lay down on a mountain to rest. That mountain doesn't look simple. Look, the purple mist is falling. There's actually such a phenomenon. Is the big green ox really that powerful? Does it have something to do with that mountain? I can faintly feel that there's a seal on that mountain. That's right, I can feel it too. I really want to go to that mountain and see what's there. Let's wait a little longer. The big green ox is too ferocious. We'll just die if we go. The surrounding cultivators fell silent again. On the mountain, Lin Feng was still sitting there. It was already the 6th day, but the recovery of the injuries to his core was more troublesome than Lin Feng had expected. Of course, the injuries to his core were already very small. At first, the injuries to his core had caused a crack of about 15 centimeters, but now there were only 2 centimeters left. Sometimes, healing was like this. The closer one was to the end, the more difficult it would be to heal the injuries. Another 3 days passed. Roar! A sound that sounded like a dragon or a tiger's roar came from the sky. After that, a 100-meter-long black flood dragon flew over. A middle-aged man was standing on the back of the black flood dragon. The middle-aged man was wearing black clothes. He looked sinister. Vice sect leader of the He Xian sect, Evil Zuntang. Many people were astonished. Even such a strong cultivator had come. Apart from the sect leader and the great elders, Evil Zuntang was the strongest cultivator in the He Xian sect. The black dragon stopped in the air, and Evil Lord Tang's cold eyes looked at the mountain where the purple mist fell from not far away. Oh, there's such a phenomenon? Why is the big green ox so strong? Does it have something to do with that mountain? Evil Zuntang couldn't help but think. The big green ox stood up and walked over step by step. Leave, and I'll spare your lives, said the big green ox. The cultivators didn't find it strange. It was normal for beasts to be able to talk. A mere ox dares to be impudent in front of me? Sneered Evil Zuntang. The big green ox sneered. I'm the demon ox king. How dare you call me a mere ox? You've committed a capital offense. Lin Feng had given the name Demon Ox King to the big green ox. The big green ox felt that it was very domineering, so it started calling itself that name. Demon Ox King? I'll kill you today, said Evil Zuntang disdainfully. He patted the black flood dragon's head. Roar! The black flood dragon roared and flew toward the big green ox. The flood dragon stretched out its claws. The black Jiao dragon reached out with its huge claws and grabbed at the head of the green ox, wanting to kill it with one swipe. Chapter 10:27. The big green ox made its move, and its horns collided with the black flood dragon's huge claws. Slash! The horns were too sharp, and they pierced through the dragon's claws. Blood immediately flowed out. The black flood dragon let out a painful roar and whipped its huge tail towards the big green ox. Evil Tang, who was standing on the back of the black dragon, also jumped up. He held a long spear in his hand and stabbed toward the big green ox. The dragon and the dragon have fused into one. Is the ox going to die? There were cultivators who said this, feeling shocked and moved. Although the ox was strong, it was facing 2 powerful enemies. In the face of the flood dragon's attack, the green ox kicked it with its hoof. At the same time, it swung its horns and used them to collide with Evil Tang's spear. Boom! The bull kicked the flood dragon's tail first, sending it flying. Then, it used its horns to knock Evil Tang away. Many people were shocked. The ox was much stronger than they had expected. Moo! The bull cried out. Its huge body rose into the air and began to gallop in the air. The great green ox crashed into the black flood dragon that it had just sent flying. The black Jiao dragon hurriedly spat out arrows made of black gas and shot them at the green ox. A layer of green demon chi appeared on the surface of the bull's body, blocking the black flood dragon's attack. Then, The big green ox rushed in front of the black flood dragon, its huge horns aimed at the black flood dragon's head. Slash! The bullhorn instantly pierced through the black Jiao dragon's head. The black Jiao dragon's body twitched and died in a few moments. Die, you animal! Evil Lord Tang roared as he saw his mount being killed by the green ox. He rushed towards the green ox with his black spear. He aimed his spear at the ox's eyes. Evil Tang's spear was as fast as lightning. The ox was about to be killed. Suddenly, the ox opened its mouth and spat out a black qi. It was the ox's innate ability, called incorrosive qi. This kind of energy could quickly destroy the enemy's dharma power. It was a terrifying attack. Evil Lord Tang was hit, and the magic power in his body dissipated instantly. His face was full of horror. Puff! In the next moment, the bull's horns pierced through Evil Lord Tang's body. Evil Lord Tang was dead. Dead. Even the vice leader of the black mysterious sect, Tang Xiezun, is dead. That green ox is too strong. Many people looked at the big green ox with horrified expressions. More and more people gathered here because the news of the big green ox killing the black mysterious sect's experts had already spread. One day later, a terrifying aura filled the air as a supreme elder of the black profound sect appeared. The Grand Supreme Elder had the demeanor of a transcendent being. He was at the creation realm and his strength was unfathomable. It's Tang Tianyu. Someone exclaimed in surprise as he recognized the old man's identity. He was one of the 4 supreme elders of the Black Mystic sect, and it was rumored that his cultivation was at the 3rd level of the creation realm. No matter how strong that green ox is, it won't be able to defeat Tang Tianyu. Many cultivators believe that the yin-yang realm and the creation realm were 2 completely different realms. Even though the big green ox had killed several yin-yang realm experts. So what? After all, the big green ox was only at the yin-yang realm while Tang Tianyu was at the creation realm. How could a yin-yang realm cultivator fight against a creation realm cultivator? That was the reason why people looked down on the big green ox when Tang Tianyu arrived. Are you ready to die? Tang Tianyu looked at the big green ox coldly, his eyes filled with killing intent. The big green ox said, Are you also from the Black Mysterious sect? I advise you to leave quickly because you shouldn't have come to this place. Don't bring disaster to your sect. Tang Tianyu smiled coldly and said, The Black Mysterious sect is backed by the Supreme Gate of Heaven. Have you heard of them? The big green ox said, Never heard of them. The corners of Tang Tianyu's mouth twitched violently. He suddenly felt as if he had punched cotton. The big green ox's reply made him speechless. Tang Tianyu smiled coldly and said, You haven't even heard of the Supreme Gate of Heaven? What a lowly monster. I won't talk to you anymore. I'll just kill you. As soon as he finished speaking, Tang Tianyu made his move and slapped a palm toward the big green ox. The big green ox stepped on the air and quickly rushed towards Tang Tianyu. Bang! The 2 sides collided fiercely. The big green ox was pushed back by Tang Tianyu's attack. Tang Tianyu was indeed worthy of being a creation realm cultivator. The big green ox had suffered a small loss in their first exchange. You have some skills, but that's all. I'll take your life within 10 moves. Tang Tianyu's aura surged. He stepped forward and attacked the big green ox with his palm. Moo! The big green ox roared and kept attacking Tang Tianyu with its horns. However, Tang Tianyu's strength was outstanding. He pushed the big green ox back several times. Whoosh! The big green ox spat out a large cloud of erosion qi, which enveloped Tang Tianyu. It had relied on the erosion qi to break Tang Wulong's magic power and kill him. But this time, the big green ox spat out another cloud of erosion qi, but Tang Tianyu dissolved it. Tang Tianyu waved his hand and charged forward madly. A strong wind suddenly blew. All of the erosion qi was blown away. Tang Tianyu quickly rushed in front of the big green ox and slashed with his sword. Slash! A wound appeared on the big green ox's neck. Blood immediately gushed out. Is the big green ox going to be killed? Many people cried out in alarm. Die! When Tang Tianyu saw that the big green ox was injured, his morale was boosted. He leaped into the air and quickly rushed towards the big green ox. The sword in his hand slashed towards the big green ox again. You want to kill me, Demon Ox King? You're still far from enough. The big green ox roared and charged towards Tang Tianyu. Mad Ox demonic strength. The big green ox used the technique that Lin Feng had taught him. Suddenly, crackling sounds came from the big green ox's body. The big green ox's body quickly expanded. In the blink of an eye, it became 3 times bigger. After its body became bigger, the big green ox's strength increased greatly. It used the Mad Ox charge and slammed into Tang Tianyu. Tang Tianyu suddenly felt as if he had been hit by an ancient mountain. He was sent flying. Crack, crack. Countless bones in his body were broken. He spat out mouthfuls of blood in midair. The big green ox rushed above Tang Tianyu and raised its hoof to stomp on Tang Tianyu's head. No! Tang Tianyu cried out in horror. Slash! In the next moment, the big green ox crushed Tang Tianyu's head. Everyone was dumbfounded. Tang Tianyu had been stomped to death by the big green ox. This was an expert of the creation realm. Wasn't the big green ox too terrifying? It could even kill a creation realm expert? Bastard, you're courting death. Right at this moment, a cold voice suddenly resounded. Buzz. In the air, a golden light flashed. A treasure that looked like a diamond ring flew over and slammed into the big green ox's body. The Vajra circle-like supreme treasure sent the big green ox flying. Slash. With just one hit, the big green ox was severely injured. Blood spurted out of its 7 orifices. Chapter 10:28. In the distance, a middle-aged cultivator walked over. The Vajra ring was his treasure. The middle-aged man looked at the ox indifferently. Who's that? He doesn't seem to be from the Haitian sect. Some people were confused. They didn't know who that person was and why he was attacking the ox. They guessed that even though that person wasn't from the Haitian sect, he might be related to the Haitian sect somehow. Who are you? The ox got up from the ground and glared at the middle-aged man. Shang Tianmin. Zhang Qianma. The middle-aged man smiled coldly. He's from Shang Tianmin. Many people were astonished. In the South Continent, Shang Tianmin was a superpower. Everyone had to look up to them. Although many cultivators knew of the prestige of the Upper Heaven Gate, those who had actually come into contact with it were as rare as phoenix feathers and Qilin horns. After all, the cultivators who came here weren't very strong. Those who could come in contact with a superpower like Shang Tianmin were definitely very strong. Shang Tianmin? So you're the backer of the guy I just stomped to death. The ox smiled coldly. You're quite brave. Aren't you afraid of dying? Zhang Qianma looked at the ox indifferently. It's not that easy to kill me. The ox decided to attack first. He quickly rushed towards Zhang Qianma, releasing bestial qi. The bestial qi condensed into a bestial qi armor, which wrapped around him. The ox's qi was much stronger than before. It was obvious that he was going to use his most powerful attack to fight against Zhang Qianma. Zhang Qianma's face was full of disdain. He took out the Dharma treasure that looked like the Vajra ring again, and it flew out quickly. The ox used his horns to block the Vajra ring. Clang! Accompanied by a sonorous sound, the Vajra hoop struck the bull's horn fiercely. The ox's horns couldn't block the Vajra ring's attack. Kacha! Kacha! The ox's horns started to crack. The Vajra ring was a terrifying treasure. The ox was blown away. The Vajra ring spun in the air and smashed into the ox's body. The ox's huge body fell down. Clang! The body of the big green ox heavily smashed into the ground, creating a deep crater. The young man's entire body was dripping with blood. He wanted to get up but failed, because his injuries were too severe. This battle is over, a cultivator said. At this point, the battle had indeed ended. The young man no longer had the strength to fight. Zhang Qianma said coldly, die. As soon as she finished speaking, Zhang Qianma waved her right hand in the air. The Vajra ring in the air quickly flew toward the big green ox and smashed down hard. My life ends here. The large green ox cried out in fear. Suddenly, a strand of sword chi shot out from the distant mountain peak, just as the Vajra chakram was about to blast the azure ox to death. The strand of sword chi was as swift as lightning. With a clang, the sword chi slammed into the Vajra ring and blasted it away. What a powerful attack! It actually sent such a powerful magic treasure flying. Many of the spectating cultivators couldn't help but gasp. Who gave you the guts to commit murder in a mountain village? A cold voice came from the distance. Everyone looked over. They saw a young cultivator walking over from the distant mountain peak. Huh, he came from that mountain peak? Many people were shocked. When the purple mist fell from the mountain peak, many people thought that there was a fortuitous opportunity there. Now that Lin Feng had come out, many people were confused. Was there a fortuitous opportunity there? Or was it because the young cultivator was on the mountain that caused the phenomenon? However, even if there was a fortuitous opportunity there, many people guessed that the young cultivator must have taken it. Little boy, is this big green ox your spirit beast? Zhang Qianma looked at Lin Feng gloomily. So what if it is? So what if it isn't? Asked Lin Feng indifferently. If it is, then you'll also suffer today. If it isn't, then piss off. Don't get involved in the affairs of the Heavenly Gate, said Zhang Qianma indifferently. As a cultivator of the Heavenly Gate, she was naturally very proud. The Upper Heaven Gate was a colossal force in the southern region. Anyone who heard the 3 words Upper Heaven Gate would tremble. Zhang Qianma believed that Lin Feng felt the same way. But Zhang Qianma was obviously wrong. When he heard the words Heavenly Gate, Lin Feng's expression didn't change. He had heard of the Heavenly Gate. So what? No matter how strong the South Continent was, they couldn't do anything to him. Besides, Lin Feng's injuries had already healed. There weren't many cultivators in the Heavenly Gate who could defeat him. Today, I'd like to see how strong the cultivators of the Heavenly Gate are. Lin Feng looked indifferent as he used the Sky Splitter slash. Buzz. A huge blade radiance condensed in the void and blasted towards Zhang Qianma. Little boy, you're courting death. Zhang Qianma sneered and used all his strength to activate the Vajra Chakram towards Lin Feng. The Vajra Chakram was indeed a treasure. Under Zhang Qianma's full power, it actually broke Lin Feng's Sky Splitter. Then, it quickly flew in front of Lin Feng and attacked Lin Feng. What a powerful treasure, but it seems to be a replica. It's already pretty good for a replica to have this kind of power. It just so happens that my Azure Ox mount is lacking a suitable treasure. I want this treasure. As soon as Lin Feng finished speaking, he reached out his right hand and grabbed the Vajra Chakram. Little boy, who do you think you are? How dare you say you want my Vajra Chakram? Go to hell. Zhang Qianma sneered and used the Vajra Chakram's power to the extreme. The Vajra Chakram quickly enlarged and smashed towards Lin Feng. Suppress. Lin Feng flipped his right hand and condensed the word suppress on his palm. He directly suppressed the Vajra Chakram. The word suppress flew out. It suppressed the Vajra Chakram. Suddenly, the fluctuations of the Vajra Chakram quickly disappeared and Lin Feng grabbed the treasure in his hand. What a good treasure. Lin Feng held the treasure and played with it for a while. Then, he forcefully erased the soul imprint that Zhang Qianma had left in it. Zhang Qianma let out a painful roar as the treasure was forcefully taken away. Little boy, how dare you steal my treasure? How dare you steal my treasure? Do you know that you've committed a capital crime? No one who offends my gate of heaven can survive. Return the Vajra ring to me now, then kneel in front of me and apologize. I can still spare your life. Otherwise, I will summon the experts of the gate of heaven and cut you into 1,000 pieces. As soon as he finished speaking, Zhang Qianma took out a summoning jade talisman. How dare you be so arrogant in front of me? You're courting death. Lin Feng used the immemorial star-plucking hand to grab Zhang Qianma. In the void, a large energy hand condensed and grabbed towards Zhang Qianma. Spare me! Zhang Qianma cried out in horror. Crack! In the next moment, Zhang Qianma was caught by the large energy hand. The large energy hand exerted force, and Zhang Qianma was crushed to death. Chapter 1029. Heavens! Zhang Qianma was a Fortune Realm cultivator, but she was killed just like that. Powerful, truly too powerful. To be able to crush a Creation Realm expert to death so easily, just what cultivation base is that young cultivator at? Could it be that he's not a young cultivator, but an expert at the level of an old monster? Maybe he's just practicing a face-fixing technique, which is why he looks so young. No, he's really young. Check his chi. He should be in his 20s. He's so young. He must be a chosen genius, right? But there's no such person in the South Continent. He must have come from another continent. This is interesting. A chosen genius like him killed a member of the Upper Heaven Gate. What do you think the Upper Heaven Gate will do? So what if he's a chosen genius? Even if a chosen genius offends the Upper Heaven Gate, he'll still die. Just wait and see. The Upper Heaven Gate's chosen genius will be here soon. That kid is dead. Many people were talking about it. Lin Feng gave the ox a healing pill. After the ox swallowed it, it recovered a lot. Lin Feng looked at the village and frowned. Now that he had killed a member of the Upper Heaven Gate, he had nothing to fear. If the Upper Heaven Gate wanted to kill him, it wouldn't be easy. However, the villagers might be implicated. I need to send them to a safe place. I wonder if Uncle Dashin and the others are willing to leave the place where their ancestors lived? Lin Feng thought. Of course, now wasn't the right time to send Uncle Dashin and the others away. Lin Feng wanted to wait until the immortal treasure appeared. He wanted to try his luck and see if he could obtain the immortal treasure that countless powerful groups would go crazy for. Vajra Demon Subduing Ring. Lin Feng looked at the Vajra Demon Subduing Ring in his hand. The name was quite domineering. He gave it to the ox and said, "This treasure is not bad. Refine it and use it to protect yourself." "Thank you, master." The ox hurriedly refined the Vajra Demon Subduing Ring. Lin Feng, on the other hand, set up a large array that enveloped an area of 15 kilometers. As for the cultivators who were watching the show, they all retreated 15 kilometers away. Inside the grand array, thick fog curled up, obscuring all sight. This is a great array. That young cultivator is so powerful. Not only is his cultivation base high, but he can also set up such a profound great array. Could it be that he wants to use the formation to block the experts of the Upper Heaven Gate? There are many experts in the Upper Heaven Gate, and there are also experts in formations. If they send an expert in formations, they will be able to break his formation. When that time comes, he will die. It is better to run away now. Who knows, he might even be able to escape. I'm guessing that he's not leaving because he wants to get the celestial treasure. After all, he's very strong. Maybe he really has a chance to get the celestial treasure. Let's just wait and see. The cultivators outside waited while Lin Feng walked towards the village. The old patriarch and the others also came out of the cave they were hiding in. Lin Feng and the old patriarch entered a stone house and told him about the relocation of the village. Although the old patriarch didn't want to leave the place where his ancestors lived, he also knew that many immortals had died here. If they didn't leave, there might be a disaster. Therefore, the old patriarch agreed. The old patriarch would then discuss this matter with the villagers. Seeing that the old patriarch agreed, Lin Feng let out a long breath. It was good to leave this place. For the villagers, living here was indeed too difficult. Moreover, they were also facing the threat of fierce beasts. Lin Feng had a way to make them live a rich and prosperous life after they left. Rumble. The void trembled. In the distance, ancient chariots flew towards the mountain village. They're here. It's the people from the Upper Heaven Gate. Many of the surrounding cultivators exclaimed. The experts of the Upper Heaven Gate had finally arrived 4 days after Zhang Qianma was killed. There were more than 20 ancient chariots, and there were at least 4 or 5 experts standing on each chariot. With so many experts, even an ancient aristocratic family would be able to easily annihilate them. But now, these experts from the Upper Heaven Gate were only here for a mountain village. There were many cultivators scattered in the surrounding forest. Everyone was waiting to watch the show. More than 20 ancient chariots stopped outside the Great Formation. Inside the Great Formation, there was a white fog lingering, and the situation inside couldn't be seen clearly. A cultivator from the Upper Heaven Gate sneered, "It's just a mere formation. Driving the chariots can forcefully destroy the Great Formation here. Then we'll forcefully break it," another expert from the Upper Heaven Gate said. Clearly, they were very confident in the ancient chariots. "Whether or not we'll forcefully break the formation, we'll have to ask the Lord," another expert said. The experts from the Upper Heaven Gate quickly reached an agreement. They came in front of an ancient chariot and bowed to an old man. "Lord Situ, We plan to use the ancient chariot to forcefully break the formation. Please make a decision, Lord Situ. An expert cupped his fists and said. The old man called Lord Situ was called Situ Hongtao. He asked, Are you confident in breaking this formation? Don't worry, Lord. We'll definitely break this formation. Then we'll capture that brat and hand him over to you. Situ Hongtao said, Since you're confident, fine. I'll give you 20 ancient chariots. Charge together and break the formation. 10 is enough. An expert from the upper heaven gate said, Then I'll wait for your good news. Situ Hongtao said, Lord, you only need to wait for half an hour. The experts left and gathered the 10 ancient chariots. The ancient chariots were activated. Each of the ancient chariots emitted a terrifying murderous aura. This murderous aura formed a murderous aura that protected the ancient chariots. Charge! An expert shouted in a deep voice. A loud rumbling sound was heard. The 10 ancient chariots crushed the void as they charged towards the Great Formation. When they came in contact with the Great Formation, it released a powerful attack towards the ancient chariots. However, the Great Formation's attack was blocked by the ancient chariot's murderous aura. What a powerful ancient chariot! That young cultivator's Great Formation can't break through their defenses. It seems like that young cultivator is in danger. I heard that these ancient chariots were passed down from the immemorial era. They're called iron blood chariots. They contain a murderous aura that can create the strongest defensive barrier. Once it's released, it can also form a terrifying attack. Now that these people have surrounded that young cultivator, I'm afraid that he won't be able to resist. A few cultivators whispered about the origin of these ancient chariots. Brat, today, we'll take your dog life. The experts in the ancient chariots laughed evilly. They were very confident that they could kill Lin Feng. In their eyes, Lin Feng was no different from a dead man. These experts drove the ancient chariots into the Great Formation. Author's note. Sorry, old steamed bun is heartbroken today. I'm in a bad mood. I'll try my best to adjust today. Tomorrow, I'll be back to 7. I'll also ask for next month's votes, rewards, and recommendation tickets. Chapter 10:30. Inside the formation, white fog lingered. From time to time, powerful rays of light would sweep over and attack the Iron Blood War chariots. Clang! Accompanied by the sound of thunder and lightning, sparks flew in all directions within the white fog. The Iron Blood War chariots had blocked all the attacks of the formation. The experts of the upper heaven gate became more and more confident. One of them sneered and said, This formation is only a... Everyone, let's go directly into the depths and find that boy. Okay, the others nodded in agreement. Loud rumbling sounds could be heard. Immediately after, 10 ancient war chariots rushed into the depths. From time to time, powerful rays of light would shoot out from the ancient war chariots and sweep the surroundings. The people of the upper heaven gate went deeper and deeper while destroying the formation. Many of the formation's eyes were destroyed. These people laughed even more complacently. However, they soon felt that something was wrong. The Iron Blood War chariots had been flying for a long time, but they still hadn't reached the depths of the mountain village. How could it take so long to traverse a mere 30 miles? Something's not right. We're trapped in an illusion. One of the experts of the upper heaven gate said with a serious expression. It was only now that they realized that something was wrong. The other experts of the upper heaven gate looked slightly gloomy. They cautiously sized up their surroundings. Originally, they were full of confidence, but now they were uneasy. Crack, crack. Suddenly, the ground cracked open and a huge demonic hand stretched out of the ground. The demonic hand directly grabbed one of the Iron Blood War chariots above. You're courting death. The 5 upper heaven gate experts on the Iron-Blooded War chariot bellowed and urged the Iron-Blooded War chariot to attack the huge demonic hand. However, what made their hearts turn cold was that when the Iron-Blooded War chariot's tyrannical attack bombarded the demonic hand, none of the attacks caused any damage to the demonic hand. It was too strange. In the next moment, the demonic hand grabbed the Iron Blood War chariots and quickly retreated into the abyss. A mournful cry came from the abyss, and in the next moment, the abyss closed. Quick, everyone gathered together. One of the experts of the upper heaven gate shouted with a serious expression. The other 9 iron blood war chariots were about to gather together, but at that moment, the ground cracked open again and 9 demonic hands grabbed at them. All the iron blood war chariots were caught by the demonic hands. Was it all an illusion when we broke the formation? My lord, please don't casually enter the formation. One of the experts from the upper heaven gate said the last word. The 9 chariots were pulled into the abyss by the evil hand. Then, the crack closed and the world became quiet again. The expressions of the upper heaven gate experts, who were confident in their victory and in control of everything, changed drastically when they heard the miserable cries coming from the array. There's no sound. Are they all dead? 10 ancient iron blood chariots? How long have they been in there? And they were all destroyed? Is the grand formation here that powerful? The upper heaven gate has suffered heavy losses this time. No one was more shocked than the surrounding cultivators. The ones who attacked were upper heaven gate experts. 10 ancient war chariots, and so many experts with unfathomable cultivation, fell just like that. This was too shocking. Situ Hongtao said gloomily, "Go and invite the 3rd elder." Yes. Very quickly, the upper heaven gate experts left. The 3rd elder of the upper heaven gate's array peak, Yin Liming, was a heaven-rank spirit array master and one of the 3 heaven-rank spirit array masters of the upper heaven gate. This time, he had followed the experts of the upper heaven gate to this place. However, this 3rd elder had already gone to the immortal evil mountain. 2 days later, Yin Liming and the other experts from the upper heaven gate arrived. Apart from Yin Liming, there was also a middle-aged man with unfathomable strength. The middle-aged man was skinny, and his long and narrow eyes were like those of a poisonous snake. One glance at him was enough to make people shudder. The middle-aged man was called Zhang Qian, and he was also a top expert from the upper heaven gate. Elder Yin, this great formation is extraordinary. The upper heaven gate has suffered heavy losses. 3rd elder, please take us into the formation. We'll personally kill that little brat. Situ Hongtao's voice was filled with murderous intent. The upper heaven gate couldn't be provoked. Only the upper heaven gate could kill people, but anyone who dared to kill a member of the upper heaven gate was courting death. The person who made the formation is really good, but it's not difficult for me. Who's coming with me? Asked Yin Liming. Me, Elder Yin, Elder Zhang, and I will go in, said Situ Hongtao. All right. Yin Liming nodded, and the 3 of them entered the great formation. Situ Hongtao and Zhang Qian are both ancient overlords, while Yin Liming is a heaven-ranked spirit array master. At the same time, he's also a quasi-overlord. Now that the 3 of them have joined forces, I'm afraid that young cultivator will die a tragic death. Many cultivators in the surroundings whispered to each other. The 3 great experts of the upper heaven gate were really terrifying. They naturally didn't think that a young cultivator could resist their combined attacks. The 3 of them entered the great formation. Yin Liming was a Tian-tier formation master, and his methods were swift and fierce. He brought Situ Hongtao and Zhang Qian deep into the great formation. Not long after, they could faintly see the valley inside the great formation. We're almost there. Yin Liming smiled coldly. That little brat's death is coming. He dared to kill the people of the upper heaven gate. Not only will that little brat die, but everyone who has anything to do with him will also die. If we don't annihilate his whole family, how can the upper heaven gate calm down? Situ Hongtao and Zhang Qian's faces were filled with murderous intent. At that moment, a rustling sound was heard. The 3 of them looked into the depths of the great formation and saw a young cultivator calmly walk out. Are you all here to die? When they heard the young cultivator, the 3 great experts of the upper heaven gate looked gloomy. Little brat, you're the one who killed so many of the upper heaven gate's experts? You're courting death. Today, I'll crush your bones and scatter your ashes. Zhang Qian jumped out and threw a punch at Lin Feng. You're just a cultivator of the first life and death layer, and you dare act so arrogantly in front of me? Who gave you the courage? Lin Feng looked indifferent. He used the immemorial star-plucking palm, and a huge hand condensed in the air and grabbed at Zhang Qian. The huge hand grabbed Zhang Qian in an instant. Then, it exerted force. Pooh! Zhang Qian, a life and death layer cultivator, was crushed into meat paste. Yin Liming and Situ Hongtao, who were originally filled with murderous intent, were scared out of their wits. Yin Liming was just a pseudo-life and death layer cultivator, so he could barely fight against a life and death layer cultivator. Situ Hongtao and Zhang Qian were both at the first life and death layer, but now, Zhang Qian had been crushed by Lin Feng as easily as an ant. Situ Hongtao and Yin Liming didn't dare to fight against Lin Feng anymore. They turned around and fled. Sky Splitter. 1,000-foot-long blade light tore through the sky. No! Situ Hongtao and Yin Liming cried out in fear. Pooh! In the next moment, their bodies were torn apart by the blade light. Chapter 1031. Did you hear that? Situ Hongtao and Yin Liming's screams came from inside. Why is there no sound? The two of them couldn't have been killed, right? The cultivators outside were in an uproar. After an hour, there was still no movement. The cultivators of the upper heaven gate hurriedly left. They were afraid that they would also be killed here. 2 ancient giants and a heaven rank array master, who was comparable to an ancient giant, were killed just like that? Many people murmured, still in disbelief. However, the result told them that it was indeed so. The people of the upper heaven gate will go crazy. That young cultivator is too powerful. The 3 great experts of the upper heaven gate have been killed. The remaining cultivators of the upper heaven gate are no threat to that young cultivator. If the experts of the upper heaven gate want to come here, it will take at least 2 months. That's enough time for that young cultivator to leave, and the upper heaven gate can't do anything to him. Yes, that young cultivator is obviously from the other continents. The world is so big. If he leaves the southern continent, he will be able to fly freely. Of course, he won't be afraid of the upper heaven gate. Moreover, he is so strong. The upper heaven gate won't be able to kill him just because they want to. Many cultivators were discussing this matter. The news of the 3 experts of the upper heaven gate being killed quickly spread. The 4 top powers of the southern continent, 1 sect, and 3 prefectures sent experts. Tuoba Manor, Zhongzheng Manor, and Shangguan Manor had always been suppressed by the upper heaven gate in the southern region. Naturally, they were dissatisfied with the upper heaven gate. Seeing that the upper heaven gate had suffered such a huge loss, the experts of the 3 great powers all had a gloating expression. The experts of the 3 prefectures went to the mountain village to take a look. They wanted to see who the cultivator who killed the 3 experts of the upper heaven gate was. Of course, they didn't go to visit Lin Feng. At this time, visiting Lin Feng was equivalent to offending the upper heaven gate. In front of the mountain village, countless cultivators came and looked at the mountain village. However, they could only see a white fog. They couldn't see anything else. Many people felt that it was a pity that they couldn't see Lin Feng. 10 days later, an immortal treasure flew out from the immortal evil mountain. Immortal lights surrounded it as it quickly flew through the void. The attention of countless forces was also attracted from the mountain village to the immortal treasure, because everyone's purpose of coming here was to snatch the immortal treasure. For the sake of seizing immortal treasures, several great battles broke out. Blood flowed like rivers, and countless cultivators died tragically. Lin Feng stood on a mountain peak and looked into the distance. He frowned slightly because he saw something terrifying. After those cultivators died, all their flesh and soul essence turned into the purest form of energy, which was then silently absorbed by the immortal treasure. What's going on? Lin Feng frowned. If not for the fact that he possessed the heavenly demon Snake Eye and could see through many things that others could not, he would not have been able to discover this. Things were far more complicated than he had imagined. Lin Feng suddenly recalled some information regarding immortal treasures that he had obtained from the Big Green Ox. The Big Green Ox had once said that the immortal treasure had appeared many times, but no one had been able to obtain it. And every time an immortal treasure appeared, countless cultivators would die in the battle because of the fight for it. This made Lin Feng think of a possibility. The immortal treasure had a spirit, and it was leading this matter. Now that it appeared, it was not looking for the fated person, but to devour the flesh and soul essence of cultivators to strengthen itself. Thinking of this possibility, Lin Feng's heart suddenly jumped. This was too terrifying. Things were completed beyond his expectations. How many people was the immortal treasure trying to kill? Every few hundred years, it would come out to absorb the flesh and soul essence of cultivators after they died. The immortal treasure must be up to something. However, what the immortal treasure was up to was unknown. Lin Feng did not participate in the fight for the immortal treasure. Instead, he watched from afar. The immortal treasure was snatched away, and then countless cultivators surrounded and killed the cultivator who took the immortal treasure. Then, the immortal treasure changed owners. Just like this, the immortal treasure kept changing owners. It was very difficult for the person who obtained the immortal treasure to take it away under the siege of so many cultivators. Therefore, they often died miserably. More and more cultivators joined the battle. The battle lasted for 10 days and 10 nights. Countless cultivators died, and the immortal treasure seemed to have devoured enough flesh and soul essence. The void suddenly shook, and the few cultivators who obtained the immortal treasure and were breaking out of the siege were killed by the immortal treasure. Then, the immortal treasure turned into a stream of light and rushed to the immortal evil mountain in the land of death, completely disappearing without a trace. What a pity that the immortal treasure escaped. Many people sighed, feeling extremely vexed. The immortal treasure entered the land of death. Cultivators could not enter the land of death to look for the immortal treasure because it was too dangerous. Cultivators left one after another, and the originally lively forest became quiet. Lin Feng also planned to move the mountain village. He entered the depths of the forest and subdued the Golden Crow Beast Emperor. This Golden Crow Beast Emperor had once ordered the Beast Kings to search for his whereabouts, but Lin Feng did not kill it. He still needed the Golden Crow Beast Emperor to move the mountain village. At the same time, Lin Feng planned to let the Golden Crow Beast Emperor and the Big Green Ox protect the people in the mountain village. The old patriarch was organizing some of the things left behind by his ancestors. He found an ancient map scroll made of sheepskin. This map was written in an ancient language. The old patriarch asked Lin Feng to see what was written on it. Lin Feng was shocked when he saw it. It was a map of the land of death, the immortal evil mountain. Old man, your clan? You must have an extraordinary origin, right? Lin Feng suddenly thought of the sacred snake cauldron, a treasure passed down from generation to generation in the Wu clan. It was not a treasure that could be passed down by an ordinary clan. I vaguely heard from the elders that our clan has a long history, but unfortunately, the inheritance has been broken, the old patriarch said. Lin Feng and the old patriarch talked for a long time. He and the old patriarch were organizing the things left behind by their ancestors. Lin Feng found a book that was turning yellow. Some of the content written on it moved Lin Feng. Lived in the Huai River, then moved to the Li River, accompanied by Emperor Shun. Emperor Shun was one of the 5 emperors. It was written that their clan used to live near the Huai River, but later moved to the Li River. They met Emperor Shun when he was young and formed a deep friendship with him. They helped Emperor Shun become a great emperor, and their clan reached its peak, becoming one of the strongest clans at that time. Now, with the passage of time, their clan had completely declined. Lin Feng could not help but sigh. No matter how strong a clan was, there would be a day when it would decline. It was just like the old patriarch's clan. Emperor Shun obtained the heavenly divine wood and built the revered sword tomb. Suddenly, a line of words attracted Lin Feng's attention. Lin Feng's expression suddenly changed. Chapter 1032. Lin Feng had heard the black-feathered Eagle King talk about the Pinnacle Sword Tomb. He knew that the Pinnacle Sword Tomb was ancient and mysterious. It could contain all kinds of treasured swords. If a sword was placed inside the Pinnacle Sword Tomb, its power would increase to an unimaginable level. Now, Lin Feng had actually found some information about the Pinnacle Sword Tomb. The Pinnacle Sword Sect was bestowed by Emperor Shun. Later, it was left behind in the immortal evil mountain. Lin Feng read another piece of information which made him extremely shocked. The Pinnacle Sword Tomb had actually been lost in the immortal evil mountain. Suddenly, Lin Feng thought of the immortal treasure he had seen before. Could it be that the Pinnacle Sword Tomb was the Pinnacle Sword Tomb? Thinking about it carefully, it was really possible. There is a sheepskin scroll that has been passed down for generations. It has recorded the location of the pinnacle sword tomb. Lin Feng was surprised. The sheepskin scroll recorded in the ancient book should be the pinnacle sword tomb because it indeed pointed to the immortal evil mountain. I don't know if the black-feathered eagle king stayed in the outer realm or if he also came to the Tianwu continent. He's not here, so I can't ask him more about the pinnacle sword tomb. Lin Feng frowned slightly. The pinnacle sword tomb was very mysterious. He knew too little about it, but Lin Feng planned to go to the immortal evil mountain. If he could obtain the pinnacle sword tomb, it would be a great opportunity. Of course, Lin Feng suspected that the pinnacle sword tomb was the mysterious immortal treasure. He also wanted to confirm whether or not it was the pinnacle sword tomb. If it really was the mysterious immortal treasure, Lin Feng didn't plan to subdue it because it was too strange. On the second day, Lin Feng told the patriarch that he would be away for a few days and would return very soon. The patriarch repeatedly told Lin Feng to be careful. Lin Feng immediately left for the immortal evil mountain. The immortal evil mountain was a famous place of death. It was naturally a very terrifying place. Lin Feng entered the immortal evil mountain carefully. If he dared to be careless in the immortal evil mountain, he could very well die. Lin Feng went deeper into the immortal evil mountain. He was looking for the location of the pinnacle sword tomb on the map. However, because of the passage of time, the immortal evil mountain had changed. Lin Feng was unable to find the location of the pinnacle mountain. Location. Lin Feng looked. He frowned slightly. Landscape changes can change many things. Could it be that the cave recorded in the parchment has been completely buried in an unknown place of the immortal and evil mountain? If that's the case, it'll be difficult to find them. Suddenly, a cold and gloomy chi emerged from the distance. Lin Feng turned his head and saw a cave a few dozen meters away. Inside the cave, a black fog was rolling in waves. Feng Lin heavens. Lin spirit was. Lin Feng Eagle Mountain. Lin Feng Eagle Mountain. The pinnacle sword tomb. The pinnacle sword tomb. The pinnacle sword tomb. The pinnacle sword tomb. But nothing was absolute. The pinnacle sword tomb. The pinnacle sword tomb. Lin Feng Eagle Mountain. The pinnacle sword tomb. The pinnacle sword tomb. The pinnacle sword tomb. Surrounded by the pinnacle sword tomb. The pinnacle sword tomb. It was a pair of blood-red eyes. The pinnacle sword tomb. Lin Feng Eagle Mountain. Even though the pinnacle sword tomb did not release its chi, Lin Feng Eagle Mountain sensed the chi of death. Even some of the deathly creatures lurking in the surrounding forests had completely concealed their auras. Lin Feng Eagle Mountain. Lin Feng Eagle Mountain. He Eagle Mountain. Lin Feng Eagle Mountain. Lin Feng Eagle Mountain could smell the pinnacle sword tomb. What should I do? It's going to catch up. Lin Feng Eagle Mountain. Lin Feng Eagle Mountain. He Eagle Mountain. Lin Feng Eagle Mountain saw a pinnacle sword tomb's pinnacle sword tomb. Lin Feng Eagle Mountain. The pinnacle sword tomb's pinnacle sword tomb. What a terrifying poison. Lin Feng Eagle Mountain. The pinnacle sword tomb's pinnacle sword tomb. It was only 100 meters away from Lin Feng Eagle Mountain. It would not take long for it to catch up with Lin Feng Eagle Mountain. Lin Feng looked glum and glanced at the poisonous valley. Lin Feng gnashed his teeth and took out the antidote he had concocted in the swamp of death. He took it out and swallowed it. Then, he activated the 2 heavenly flames to protect his body. Then, he rushed into the poisonous valley. Chi, chi, chi. The pinnacle sword tomb's Eagle Mountain began to burn. The Eagle Mountain was not able to completely block the pinnacle sword tomb's Eagle Mountain. Traces of the pinnacle sword tomb's Eagle Mountain seeped into the Eagle Mountain. The pinnacle sword tomb's Eagle Mountain. Lin Feng Eagle Mountain's Eagle Mountain. The antidote pill played an important role. Fortunately, Lin Feng Eagle Mountain managed to withstand the poison's damage. He Eagle Mountain continued Eagle Mountain. The pinnacle sword tomb's Eagle Mountain fell into the pinnacle sword tomb's Eagle Mountain. After chasing for 100 meters, the pinnacle sword tomb's Eagle Mountain let out a pained roar. Clearly, the pinnacle sword tomb's Eagle Mountain had injured it. However, the pinnacle sword tomb's Eagle Mountain was too powerful. The pinnacle sword tomb's Eagle Mountain was unable to kill it. It quickly retreated. This pinnacle sword tomb's Eagle Mountain looks like a coiling dragon. It's very similar to the one recorded in the Eagle Mountain. Could the cave be here? Lin Feng Eagle Mountain was startled. Eagle Mountain reached the deepest part of the pinnacle sword tomb's Eagle Mountain. Lin Feng Eagle Mountain. Eagle Mountain quickly entered. The Eagle Mountain was very long. Lin Feng Eagle Mountain walked for a few hundred meters, but he was still unable to reach its depths. He frowned slightly. He had a feeling that the Eagle Mountain was not as simple as it seemed. Tap. Suddenly, the sound of footsteps came from behind him. Lin Feng's face suddenly changed. Could it be that something had also entered the cave when he entered? Lin Feng increased his speed and walked towards the depths. Tap, tap, tap. Lin Feng did not manage to shake off the thing behind him. Instead, the distance between them grew even closer. A gust of cold wind blew from behind. Lin Feng felt the chilly wind blowing on his body like a knife, causing goosebumps to appear all over his body. He felt as if something was looking at him from the darkness. Lin Feng opened his sky demon snake eye, but he couldn't see anything. Something's not right. Something must be watching me, but I can't see it. Lin Feng's face was pale. The land of death was truly too terrifying. He ran towards the depths. Chapter 1033. Lin Feng turned his head to look behind him from time to time. He felt more and more uneasy. The heavenly demon snake's eye was known as the Eye of Origin, but it couldn't see that unknown existence. This made Lin Feng feel very uneasy. What was hiding in the dark? Suddenly, Lin Feng felt his body getting heavier and heavier. His legs felt like they were filled with lead. He felt that he couldn't move his legs. It wasn't just his legs. Even his body became stiff. What exactly happened? Lin Feng quickly took off his clothes. When he saw his body, his face was filled with shock. His body had started to petrify. His body seemed to be turning into stone. No wonder his body felt so heavy. Carefully sensing it, a very strange power seemed to have surged into his body. It was this strange power that was causing Lin Feng's body to petrify bit by bit. This was a terrifying phenomenon. Lin Feng's heart skipped a beat. He quickly activated the heavenly fire to burn the strange power that was surging into his body. Chi. That strange power began to burn. As the strange power in his body continued to decrease, Lin Feng felt that his body had recovered a lot. Da-da-da. In the distant darkness, the sound of footsteps could be heard again. It seemed to be getting closer and closer. Lin Feng sped up. That's... His pupils suddenly shrank. Lin Feng saw a statue. It was the appearance of a middle-aged cultivator. He stood in the passage, unable to move. Could it be a petrified cultivator? Lin Feng was moved. To be able to come here, he must be a top expert. Now that he was petrified in the passage, it was as he had guessed. There was a strange existence hidden here. He just didn't know what that existence was. Lin Feng touched the statue. Crash. The statue broke into pieces. Being petrified means death. Lin Feng took a deep breath. His heart couldn't calm down for a long time. This was because he was facing the same situation. Although the heavenly fire had burned a part of the strange power that petrified his body. However, it was clear that it was very difficult for the heavenly fire to completely dissolve that strange power. Very quickly, Lin Feng had the feeling that his body was becoming heavier and heavier. Every step he took was becoming more and more difficult. How terrifying. What kind of creature is hiding here? Lin Feng's expression was gloomy. He felt that there might be a chance of survival in the depths, so he gritted his teeth and continued forward. Not long after, Lin Feng saw a corpse lying on the ground. Perhaps due to the passage of time, the corpse had already turned into white bones. He actually wasn't petrified. Lin Feng was shocked. He looked at the blood-red robe on the corpse. It was supposed to be a white robe, but it was unknown whose blood it was stained with. White Bones, who was lying on the ground, was draped in a blood-red robe. Could it be that the crimson robe is the reason why he hasn't been petrified? Lin Feng muttered. He quickly rushed over, picked up the blood-red robe, and put it on. A miraculous scene appeared. Lin Feng felt his heavy body gradually recover. It really worked. What's the origin of this blood-red robe? Lin Feng was shocked. Suddenly, a gloomy and cold aura assaulted him. Lin Feng felt his body being imprisoned. He couldn't move at all. A look of horror appeared on his face. What was going on? Was the terrifying existence hidden in the cave about to make a move on him? The aura of death enveloped Lin Feng, making him feel as if his soul was about to shatter. It was truly despairing. There was nothing he could do. He could only watch as the terrifying existence arrived and devoured his life. It's here. Lin Feng's eyes were wide open. He had the feeling that something was touching his body, but he couldn't see anything with his naked eyes. When the invisible thing touched his body, Lin Feng felt as if he had fallen ill. His body was about to collapse on the ground. Sizzle, sizzle, sizzle. Suddenly, the blood-stained robe seemed to have come to life. Runes appeared one after another. Then, the runes emitted a burning sound. Lin Feng felt that the mysterious thing that touched his body seemed to have retracted its hand. Lin Feng also felt his body recover some strength. He leaned against the wall and panted heavily. He didn't dare to hesitate. He took out the Saraira and held it in his hand. He stood up and went to the skeleton. However, Lin Feng couldn't find any clues. He didn't know who the skeleton's owner was. After 15 minutes, Lin Feng stood up. He was wearing the blood-red robe and holding the Saraira in his hand. He looked around cautiously and cautiously. He continued to walk into the depths of the cave. Finally, Lin Feng entered the belly of a mountain. There, Lin Feng saw a petrified cultivator sitting cross-legged with a black wooden box in his hand. Revered sword tomb? Lin Feng was shocked. He had thought that the revered sword tomb was the immortal treasure that had flown out of immortal Evil Mountain. Now, it seemed that he had guessed wrong. Who is that petrified cultivator? He's dragging the revered sword tomb. Is he an ancestor of the old patriarch? I don't understand. Why did he enter the forbidden land of death? Even if he had no choice but to enter the land of death for some reason, why did he bring a supreme treasure like the revered sword tomb with him? Lin Feng frowned. There were many suspicious points about what had happened in the past. However, after so many years, all the suspicious points had become secrets. It was likely that future generations would never know. Lin Feng carefully walked toward the revered sword tomb. However, he was still attacked. Puff. Lin Feng's chest was pierced by an invisible force. His body was sent flying. Ugh. Lin Feng slammed into the wall and spat out a mouthful of blood. What attacked me? Was it a creature hiding in the dark? Or is there a restriction here that even I can't detect? Lin Feng's face was pale. He struggled to get up. Puff. However, another attack pierced through his body. Lin Feng fell to the ground. He felt his life quickly slipping away. This cave could forcibly rob an injured cultivator of their lifespan. Lin Feng wanted to use his immortal divine body to heal his injuries, but he found that his bloodline had been sealed. This was a very scary thing. It seemed that he could only wait for death here. Puff, puff, puff. His body was pierced again and again. Blood dyed him red. As expected of the forbidden land of death, Lin Feng smiled bitterly. He felt a deep sense of powerlessness. The forbidden land of death was said to be able to bury gods. Lin Feng didn't believe it before, but now he did. The forbidden land of death was too strange. His body fell to the ground and twitched violently. His life was slipping away. Blood flowed out. Lin Feng's consciousness was dissipating. Some of the blood stained the stone statue holding the revered sword tomb. The blood was absorbed by the stone statue. Crack, crack. The stone statue began to crack. Chapter 1034. The statue cracked open, revealing a middle-aged cultivator. He sat cross-legged with his eyes closed. Swish. The next moment, he opened his eyes, which flashed with a dazzling light. So many years have passed, and someone actually managed to enter this place. The middle-aged cultivator was shocked to see Lin Feng. Lin Feng was visibly moved. He hadn't expected the middle-aged cultivator to be resurrected. It was as if he had seen the hope of survival. Lin Feng hurriedly said, I came from the Wu clan's mountain village. I obtained a sheepskin scroll from the old clan leader and entered this place." "I see." The middle-aged man nodded and asked, "Do you have a sword?" "Yes." Lin Feng hurriedly took out the Black Dragon Sword, Spring and Autumn Sword, and Void Death Sword. These were the 3 treasured swords he had obtained. You've collected quite a few good swords. It seems like fate really does play a part in all of this." The middle-aged man stood up and pointed at the revered sword mound with his right hand. Crack! The revered sword mound's box automatically opened, revealing a sword slot. Next, the 3 treasured swords buzzed as if they had been summoned by the revered sword mound. They shot up into the sky and flew towards the revered sword mound. "Divine swords, return!" The middle-aged cultivator shouted in a low voice. The 3 swords quickly shrank and flew into the sword groove of the Most High sword mound. Then, the middle-aged cultivator waved his right hand in the air. Swish! A dazzling light surged out as the 3 treasured swords flew out and slashed forward. Clang! The 3 treasured swords seemed to collide with something terrifying, and the sound of metal clashing could be heard in the darkness. The 3 treasured swords spun in the air, slashing out sharp attacks as they clashed with the unknown existence again and again. "Senior, what is that?" Lin Feng asked with a serious expression. The middle-aged cultivator also had a serious look on his face. He said, "It's a type of living being that cannot be described." The middle-aged cultivator seemed to be afraid of something and didn't tell Lin Feng what it was. Lin Feng nodded and did not continue to ask. He looked at the 3 swords. Regardless of whether it was the Black Dragon Sword, the Sword of Peace, or the Sword of Spring and Autumn, they were all supreme divine swords. But now, the attack of the 3 divine swords was blocked by the unknown existence. It was hard to imagine how powerful the unknown existence was. Supreme Sword Control Art, Sword will like a dragon. The middle-aged cultivator's hands continuously formed hand seals. Suddenly, the 3 treasured swords combined together in the void. The shadow of a giant dragon vaguely appeared. This was the sword intent dragon formed by the combination of the 3 swords. Accompanied by a dragon's roar, the power of the 3 swords combined and slashed toward the unknown, terrifying existence. Clang! Accompanied by a muffled sound of collision, the terrifying creature seemed to have been pushed back. "Let's go!" The middle-aged cultivator grabbed Lin Feng and shot out of the cave. The 2 of them rushed into the passageway, and 3 flying swords quickly flew over. "Grab the sword. The treasured sword will bring you out." The Black Dragon Sword flew out, and Lin Feng grabbed its hilt. Then, the Black Dragon Sword turned into a black bolt of lightning and shot out. Pooh! In the next moment, half of the middle-aged cultivator's body was torn apart, but no blood flowed out. The torn half of his body turned into stone. Slash! The middle-aged cultivator shouted and activated the Supreme Sword Control Art, activating the power of the Sword of Spring and Autumn and the Sword of Peace. The 2 treasured swords slashed at the pitch-black void behind them. Clang! Accompanied by the sound of collision, sparks flew everywhere. It was unknown what the 2 treasures had collided with, but such a sound had been produced. The middle-aged cultivator retreated as he fought. He had been heavily injured several times, and his body had been torn apart. Half of his body had turned into stone, and it was extremely tattered. But in the end, he finally rushed out of the cave. The unknown existence that had chased him out of the cave finally retreated. "Senior, your body." Seeing the middle-aged cultivator's tattered body, Lin Feng's expression changed drastically. "Don't worry about me. We can't stay here for long. Let's leave quickly." The middle-aged cultivator looked gravely at Lin Feng and said, "Later, no matter what happens, don't look back. Just run as fast as you can. Do you hear me?" Hearing the middle-aged cultivator's words, Lin Feng's heart trembled. He had a premonition that something bad was going to happen. "I know." Lin Feng bit his lip and nodded solemnly. He was powerless to change anything. The only thing he could do was listen to the middle-aged cultivator. Swoosh! The middle-aged cultivator grabbed Lin Feng and rushed out of the poisonous valley. Black fog curled up around them. The terrifying being that had been guarding outside this entire time was the first to attack Lin Feng and the middle-aged cultivator. Take the revered sword tomb and leave quickly. The middle-aged cultivator sent Lin Feng 1,000 meters away. He charged towards that terrifying creature. Lin Feng held the revered sword tomb in his arms and madly ran outside. The revered sword tomb belongs to the immortal evil mountain. Lowly being, you've already become a slave of the immortal evil mountain. How dare you let someone take away something from the immortal evil mountain? You're doomed to perish forever. In the depths of the immortal evil mountain, 9 streams of black fog surged out. There seemed to be a terrifying existence hidden in each of the black mists. Heavenly mountains and rivers. The middle-aged cultivator roared and pushed back the terrifying being that was fighting with him. He then created a world of mountains and rivers to block the beings that were rushing out of the immortal evil mountain. However, there was still a stream of black fog that broke through the defensive line and chased after Lin Feng. Rumble. The restrictions in the immortal evil mountain were all activated. Thick chains of restrictions rushed towards Lin Feng. Each of them could easily kill an ancient powerhouse. Lin Feng opened his heavenly demon snake eye and at the same time used a secret technique from the heavenly master sect. The two abilities combined to predict and avoid all kinds of restrictions in advance. Again and again, he dodged the attacks of the restriction by a hair's breadth. The terrifying aura behind him made Lin Feng panic. He knew that there must be some terrifying being chasing after him, but Lin Feng didn't dare to look back. Suddenly, a demonic hand came out of the black fog and grabbed at Lin Feng. Suddenly, Lin Feng felt that his body couldn't move. Bang! The middle-aged cultivator's body directly exploded, and the terrifying beings that he blocked were sent flying. Then, a ball of origin energy flew out and hit the demonic aura that was chasing after Lin Feng. The being in the demonic aura was also sent flying. Lin Feng regained his ability to move and quickly rushed out of the immortal evil mountain. Lin Feng turned his head and looked at the immortal evil mountain. He saw the middle-aged man's body turning into a rain of light and gradually dissipating. Senior. Lin Feng shed tears. His heart was filled with sorrow. Don't be sad. My life has been gone for countless years, and my soul was imprisoned in the immortal evil mountain, enslaved forever. Today, to be able to send the revered sword tomb out of the immortal evil mountain, my body and soul were destroyed, and it was worth it. As soon as he finished speaking, the middle-aged cultivator's body completely disappeared. In the sky, there was a rain of stars. One could faintly hear the sound of crying, as if the trees and flowers in the forest were sad for the middle-aged cultivator's death. Chapter 1035. The Golden Crow Beast Emperor flew above the forest with a few hundred villagers in tow. Finally, they arrived at a place with beautiful scenery. There were only some ordinary beasts within a few hundred miles. There were no ferocious beasts and no cultivators along the way. It was the most suitable place to live. The old chief chose to set up camp in a valley. Then, everyone worked together to build stone houses. Lin Feng left enough spirit stones for the village and gave the old chief more than a dozen techniques and spells. He hoped that the villagers would be able to increase their cultivation in the future. Maybe they could recreate the glory of their ancestors in the future. Lin Feng also left many precious medicinal ingredients and concocted all sorts of pills. Someday, the village would be able to use those pills. With the Green Ox and the Golden Crow Beast Emperor protecting the village, Lin Feng didn't need to worry. As for the revered sword tomb, Lin Feng didn't give it to the old chief. This was because he needed the revered sword tomb. Moreover, if he gave this treasure to the old chief, he was afraid that it would be a disaster rather than a blessing. Because of the revered sword tomb, the entire village could be destroyed. Lin Feng planned to leave. He wanted to return to the wastelands where he had friends and loved ones. That night, Lin Feng took out the regal sword grave and inspected it with his godly awareness. He carefully inspected the treasure. The ancient sword box was engraved with runes. This treasure had been passed down for many years, and it still had a terrifying power. Lin Feng dripped his blood to refine the revered sword tomb. He felt that he had established a connection with it. A huge amount of information flowed into Lin Feng's mind as he refined the revered sword tomb. This was the cultivation method of the revered sword control art. The revered sword tomb would pass this secret art to its new owner. Lin Feng began to comprehend the revered sword control art. The next day, Lin Feng bid farewell to the villagers. If you're tired outside, come back to the village. This will always be your home. The old chief said, Brother Feng, I'll cultivate well and become someone like you. Little Jie said, clenching his fists. Brother Lin, take care. Come back and visit us in the future. But Face shouted, Little Feng, you have to be careful when you're alone outside. Uncle Dashin reminded him with concern. Lin Feng was touched, but he knew that he had to leave. On this sunny afternoon, Lin Feng waved goodbye to everyone in the village and then flew into the distance. He planned to head to the Tao-seeking sect, which was Li Yuan Er's sect. The Tao-seeking sect had a teleportation formation. Perhaps he could use the teleportation formation of the Tao-seeking sect to reach the ancient city with a space-time wormhole. Then, he could take the space-time wormhole and leave the South Continent. The Tao-seeking sect belonged to the level of an ancient faction. It was not particularly strong, but it was not too weak either. This kind of faction was relatively common in the Heaven Martial continent. When Lin Feng arrived at the foot of the Tao-seeking sect's mountain, he discovered that there were many people coming and going. Countless luxurious carriages, under the protection of guards, gathered from all directions. These carriages stopped at the foot of the Tao-seeking sect's mountain. From time to time, young men and young women would come out of the carriages. Lin Feng guessed that they must be disciples from aristocratic families who had come to participate in the Tao querying sex test. When he arrived at the mountain gate, he was blocked by someone. If you're here to participate in the new disciple test, an elder will come tomorrow to make arrangements. The disciple guarding the mountain said. Lin Feng said, I'm here to borrow the Tao-seeking sect's teleportation portal. Go and report this. Lin Feng casually tossed a bag of spirit stones to the disciple in charge. The disciple opened the bag and saw that there were more than 100 mid-grade spirit stones. He immediately smiled. Senior brother, please wait for a moment. I'll go and report this. The disciple in charge quickly left. Not long after, the disciple returned and cupped his fists at Lin Feng. Senior brother, please follow me to the teleportation portal valley. Lin Feng nodded and followed the disciple to the teleportation portal valley. There were dozens of cultivators gathered at the teleportation portal, most likely here to borrow the Tao-seeking sect's teleportation portal. The elder in charge of this place was called Li Yi. He asked, Young friend, where do you plan to go? Lin Feng replied, I'll go wherever there's a space-time wormhole. There are a total of 3 cities with space-time wormholes in the South Continent. The first is called Skygate City, which is controlled by the Upper Heaven Gate. The second is called Southern Region City, which is controlled by the Tuoba clan and the Zhongzheng clan. There's also a smaller city called Shangguan City, which is the territory of the Shangguan clan. There's also a space-time wormhole here, but there's a difference between different wormholes. Skygate City and Southern Region City's wormholes can teleport people across 100 prefectures, but the Shangguan clan's wormhole can only teleport people across 40 prefectures. Southern Region City, Lin Feng said. Southern Region City is the furthest city from here. That's why it's a little expensive to teleport there, Li said with a shrewd smile. Lin Feng tossed him a bag of spirit stones and asked, Are these enough? Li Yi opened it and found that there were 3,000 best quality spirit stones inside. He couldn't help but suck in a breath of cold air. He quickly nodded and said with a smile, That's enough. That's definitely enough. There was no lack of cultivators training in the ancient forest. In order to increase their strength, Li Yuan and her 8 fellow disciples had entered the forest to train. Their strength had increased by leaps and bounds, but now they were in a life-or-death situation. They were being attacked by a group of skeletal lizards. These skeletal lizards lived deep underground, and they were 15 to 20 meters long. They had thick hind legs and large mouths. Their teeth were so sharp that they could easily pierce through treasures. From this, one could see how terrifying these skeletal lizards were. Of course, the most despairing thing about the skeletal lizards was that they were ferocious beasts that lived in packs. More than 100 skeletal lizards had surrounded Li Yuan and the others, and they kept charging at them. Crack, crack. One defensive treasure after another was bitten to pieces. Everyone's faces were pale, and their faces were filled with fear. Woo, 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 woo. Li Yuan and the other 3 female disciples were sobbing. Facing death, their hearts were filled with fear. The other 5 male disciples were also pale, and their bodies were trembling. Crack. The last defensive treasure was torn apart by the skeletal lizards. We're done for. Li Yuan and the others shouted with trembling voices, their faces ashen. The skeletal lizards pounced on the 9 people, just as they were about to fall into despair. Suddenly, a jade pendant on Li Yuan's waist emitted a violent fluctuation. Whoosh! A dazzling light surged out, and with Li Yuan as the center, a saber light swept out in all directions. Pooh! Pooh! The sound of something being torn apart rang out. A thick smell of blood filled the forest. When the light dissipated, Li Yuan and the others looked around, dumbfounded. The ground was littered with skeletal lizard corpses. These powerful skeletal lizards didn't even have the strength to resist before they were all killed. Heavens! Heavens! What happened? One of the female disciples muttered in shock. A male disciple pointed at Li Yuan's jade pendant and said in a trembling voice, "Junior sisterly, it's that jade pendant." The attack it released instantly killed over 100 skeletal lizards. Li Yuan looked at the jade pendant in a daze. Wasn't this the jade pendant that mysterious guy had tossed to her? At first, Li Yuan had thought that it was a token of love that Lin Feng had tossed to her, but after thinking about it carefully, she realized that the 2 of them might never meet again. How could he possibly give her a token of love? After thinking it through, Li Yuan believed that the jade pendant might really have been a gift from that guy to thank her for telling him where the teleportation formation was. Thus, Li Yuan felt at ease and carried the jade pendant with her. Li Yuan had originally thought that it was just an ordinary jade pendant, but now, the jade talisman had actually released such a powerful attack. Li Yuan's heart was in turmoil. Who is he? He casually tossed a jade pendant to me, and it's already so terrifying. Li Yuan's heart was filled with shock. She couldn't help but suspect Lin Feng's identity. However, when she thought about how she and a genius like Lin Feng were from 2 different worlds, she couldn't help but sigh, feeling inexplicably disappointed. Chapter 1036. Southern Region City was located in the southern part of Nanzhou. It was an ancient and powerful city that housed the Tuoba family and the Zhongjing family. These 2 families were 2 of the top forces in the South region. Southern Region City was bustling with noise and excitement. As soon as Lin Yun stepped out of the transmission array, he was greeted by a thunderous roar. People were coming and going in the transmission array. Lin Feng didn't plan on staying in Southern Region City for long. He planned on leaving through the space-time wormhole. He went to ask when the wormhole would open and was told that it would open in 2 days. Space-time wormholes consumed a massive amount of energy, so they usually opened once every 3 days. The purpose of opening them was to gather enough cultivators at once. This way, the Tuoba family and the Zhongjing family, who controlled the wormhole, would be able to earn more profits. Lin Feng had no choice but to leave the transmission array. He found an inn to stay in and waited for the wormhole to open before leaving. Lin Feng didn't go out. He stayed in his room. Time passed quickly. 2 days later, Lin Feng arrived at the transmission array once again. However, Lin Feng's expression sank when he arrived. This was because there was a huge mirror floating in the air. The mirror shone on the cultivators entering and leaving the transmission array. The God-transforming mirror. No one can hide from it. The mirror was terrifying. If Lin Feng was shown on by it, he would definitely be exposed. Did the Upper Heaven Gates experts come here? Lin Feng looked from afar. He felt that things were a little troublesome. If he was discovered, the Upper Heaven Gates experts would definitely come to attack him. In the distance, 9 Pegasus horses pulled a bronze carriage over. A thin old man with gloomy eyes stepped out of the carriage. Several elders in the transmission array bowed to the old man. Who is that? Some cultivators were puzzled. Someone who could make the elders of the transmission array come out to greet them must have an extraordinary identity. Upper Heaven Gate's great elder, Yu Wenqing. Someone said, "It's him." I heard that he's an 8th level life and death powerhouse. Some cultivators cried out in alarm. An existence of this level stood at the peak of the ancient giants. Even the god-transforming mirror has been brought here. Could the upper heaven gate be looking for someone? One of the cultivators asked doubtfully. I heard that the upper heaven gate suffered heavy losses at the immortal evil mountain in the land of death. Many experts died at the hands of a young expert. The upper heaven gate was furious and sent out 4 experts to kill that cultivator. A cultivator said, "These are the top 4 experts from the upper heaven gate's law enforcement hall. Looks like the upper heaven gate is getting serious. I wonder who they are after." Lin Feng heard a lot of news. He inquired about the identities of the 4 great experts of Clear Sky and White Sunday. These 4 people were Yuan Qing, Nalan Tian, Gong Sunbai, and Dongfang Ri. The strength of these 4 experts could be described with the word good fortune. The weakest among them was Yuan Qing, the cultivator from the teleportation plaza. She had also reached the 8th layer of life and death realm. Nalang Tian and Gong Sunbai were at the 9th layer of life and death realm. The most powerful one, Dongfang Ri, had even reached the frightening life and death realm 10th layer. Even 10 Lin Fengs wouldn't be able to defeat such a strong cultivator. The upper heaven gate expert, Yuan Qing, is guarding this place. It seems like I won't be able to leave. Lin Feng frowned. This was a very tricky situation. Yuan Qing was at the 8th layer of life and death realm. She wasn't someone Lin Feng could contend against. Lin Feng was very clear about this. Now, he needed to find another way to leave Nanzhou. He carefully inquired about the powers that were relatively close to Nanzhou City and had teleportation portals. Lin Feng planned to use a teleportation portal to go to another province. No matter how strong the upper heaven gate was, their sphere of influence was limited to Nanzhou. If Lin Feng could successfully reach another province, he could use a space-time wormhole to leave, but it would take a while. Lin Feng flew out of Nanzhou City. However, what Lin Feng didn't expect was that there wasn't just one upper heaven gate expert guarding Nanzhou City, but 2. Apart from Yuan Qing, there was also Gong Sunbai. When Lin Feng flew out of the city, Gong Sunbai, who was standing on a tower, saw Lin Feng in the crowd. He frowned slightly and took out a portrait of Lin Feng. When Lin Feng had killed the upper heaven gate expert, Zhang Qianma, many people had seen it. Therefore, it wasn't difficult to draw a portrait of Lin Feng. Swoosh! Gong Sunbai's body flickered and disappeared. When he was flying out of the city, he suddenly felt a cold and terrifying aura enveloping his body. His expression changed slightly. He turned around and slapped behind him. Bang! A muffled sound of collision was heard. Lin Feng was sent flying a few hundred meters. Cough, cough, cough. He coughed violently. He felt his blood boil, and he almost coughed up blood. Not bad, little brat. You managed to block my attack. However, you won't be able to escape today. Gong Sunbai smiled coldly. He raised his right hand and threw a punch at Lin Feng. Wait, I have something to say. Lin Feng suddenly shouted. Do you have any last wishes before you die? Gong Sunbai sneered and could not help but stop. Lin Feng didn't say anything. He just turned around and flew away. In an instant, he had left Nanzhou City. Little brat, how dare you trick me? When he saw Lin Feng running away, Gong Sunbai realized that he had been tricked. He flew into a rage and chased after Lin Feng. Is that young cultivator the upper heaven gate expert is chasing after? Many people were shocked. Yuan Qing quickly learned that Lin Feng had appeared, and she quickly chased after him. The strong cultivators of Upper Heaven Gate all moved out to search for Lin Feng. Outside of southern Yu City, there was a vast forest. Lin Feng ran into it. He wanted to get rid of Gong Sunbai, but Gong Sunbai was too fast. He was chasing after him. Gong Sunbai used an ancient forbidden weapon to increase his speed and catch up with Lin Feng. Lin Feng fought fiercely. He had almost been killed by Gong Sunbai, but in the end, he had escaped with injuries. As expected of a cultivator of the 9th layer of the life and death layer, Lin Feng stopped in a forest to rest. He refined a jade leaf stone to recover his spiritual energy. Little brat, you have nowhere to run. When I catch you, I'll turn you into ashes. Gong Sunbai flew over from the distance. His face was filled with killing intent. He rushed down, trying to kill Lin Feng. But as soon as he landed in the forest, deployment marks intertwined and trapped Gong Sunbai. Lin Feng had set up a few simple deployment spells when he was resting. Even though they could trap Gong Sunbai, they couldn't keep him trapped for too long. After Gong Sunbai was trapped, Lin Feng soared into the sky and flew away. He had to use a teleportation portal to leave quickly because Gong Sunbai was too strong. He couldn't fight against him. Besides, the other 3 strong cultivators had probably heard the news and were rushing over. If the 4 strong cultivators came together, Lin Feng knew that he would die. You're tuning in to the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.